Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. A piece of azure crystal stone on the water bottom caught his attention, prompting him to dive down and scoop it up with his hand. The entire crystal stone was about the size of a fist, crystal clear, allowing him to see the lines on his hand relatively clearly through the crystal. Blue crystal, green, a beautiful crystal. Placing it in the treehouse can increase the decoration level, can be used for carving, again with the decoration level. What exactly does this decoration level do? Chapter 122, Creatures in the Whirlpool. Zuzin placed the blue crystal into his backpack, swimming around in search of similar stones nearby. Though there were many colored stones on the seabed, most were dull and murky, without the clear transparency of the blue crystal earlier, and with his identification ability, each emitted a white glow. Zuzin casually picked up a stone that was entirely purple and held it in his hand. Purple crystal, white, an ordinary crystal, can be used for carving. White-grade crystals do not affect the decorative value of the treehouse. Zuzin discarded this crystal casually and started searching for crystals emitting green or even blue light underwater. After swimming for a long time, Zuzin eventually found 3 green-grade crystals of varied colors, namely a purple crystal, a red crystal, and a green crystal. His identification ability allowed him to spot the glow at a glance, making his search very efficient. However, for others without identification abilities, these crystals weren't too hard to find, as green-grade and white-grade crystals look very different, with green-grade being clear and transparent, while white-grade is dull and murky, making them easy to distinguish. With no resources above the green-grade around him, Zuzin surfaced from the water and looked at the giant tornado only 200 to 300 meters away. At such close proximity, the tornado appeared even more menacing. However, likely due to the tornado pulling the nearby clouds into it, there were no more thunder strikes here. Instead, bright yellow lightning occasionally flashed across the tornado. Keek said there's treasure in the tornado and it's not dangerous, so is she telling me to enter it? But how could I dare to enter? Zuzin murmured to himself, staring at the imposing tornado before him. Entering this tornado? That's practically a death sentence. Although only a few hundred meters away, Zuzin still didn't feel any suction from the tornado, only the water where he was located was flowing towards the direction of the tornado's rotation. The entire surrounding water was rotating along with the tornado. Diving back underwater and looking towards the tornado, Zuzin astonishingly found that the underwater part of the far-off tornado was merely a tiny whirlpool at the seabed. Of course, this tiny is in comparison to the tornado's upper water part. The narrowest part beneath the tornado's water surface was tens of meters in diameter, expanding increasingly towards the sky, with its cloud layer affecting an area over 1,000 meters across, making the entire tornado look very exaggerated. But below water, it seemed to be a whirlpool roughly 10 meters in diameter, with some objects swirling with the water flow inside, hard to see clearly. The whirlpool didn't turn very fast, much slower at least than the wind speed above the water surface. Zuzin thought he could move closer to take a look. But before that, he needed to discuss with the members of Explorers, to see if he could gather some information he didn't already know. With nothing to stand on around him, Zuzin had to float to the surface and accessed his watch. GKing, if any of you are good swimmers, you can't try to get closer to this tornado. There's likely new materials around the tornado that we've never seen, which might relate to our next survival phase. GKing sent this message right after Zuzin left the treehouse and hasn't said anything since, probably out exploring as well. Zuzin couldn't help but feel lucky. Without this scale armor suit, he wouldn't even qualify to explore outside. With his skill of taking over a minute to swim 50 meters while exhausting himself, he could only wait at the treehouse until the event ended. Cheeks Fi, good luck, I'll wait for you guys in the treehouse. Wanglei, does dog paddling count as swimming? Never mind, I'll just wander around the treehouse area. I'm afraid if I go too far, I won't be able to swim back. Li Wenxi, I'll stay in the treehouse. This event is really unfriendly to people who can't swim. Wen Gaixin, I'll go out to have a look. My skills are decent, and I'll inform you if I find any new resources. Zhao Zixuan, I'll go have a look too. There's a reservoir near my home. Before coming to this world, I often swam in it for fun. I'm not afraid of those tens of meters deep, these 4 or 5 should be nothing.
Though Zhao Ziyuan's words sounded like he was bragging about his swimming skills, Zhu Xin could see he was mostly motivating himself. After all, that tornado certainly looked daunting. Qin Yanlong and Qin Yanu have been silent, both have excellent swimming skills and probably like Zhu Xin, started exploring underwater early. Li Wenxi also sent him a few private messages. Zhu Xin, what do you think? Can that tornado really be approached? But I can't really swim, it's over a kilometer away on that side, I definitely can't swim there. Whether it can be approached or not doesn't mean much to me. Have you already gone out? These messages were sent almost half an hour ago. Zhu Xin replied, I'm already only 200 to 300 meters away from the tornado. Li Wenxi was bored in the treehouse playing with her mutant cow when she saw Zhu Xin's reply and her almond eyes widened. You're already so close. 200 to 300 meters, won't you get sucked in? No, but the water around the tornado is always spinning. Don't come near if you're not a good swimmer, you'll easily be swept right in. Have you discovered any new resources? Indeed, I'll tell you when I return. Oh great, stay safe. While privately messaging Li Wenxi, Zhu Xin continued to closely observe the nearby tornado. At that moment, objects continued to fly out of the tornado sporadically, mostly stones, wood, and some animal carcasses. Zhu Xin sent messages to Qin Yanlong and Ji Qiang seeking to exchange information, but unfortunately, neither replied. Their exploration progress was probably lagging behind his. It seemed he had to rely on himself again. Suddenly, a long piece of wood thrown from the tornado splashed near Zhu Xin, creating a huge splash and surfacing, being carried along with the water flow. Zhu Xin immediately swam over. He discovered this wood was nothing like any type he's seen before, it was darker in color, and the texture of its cross-section seemed more regular. Grasping the floating wood, Zhu Xin relaxed his body. Finally, he could rest a bit. This single piece of rosewood was as large as a tree trunk, much bigger than regular wood, logs, or slender pieces. Rosewood, green, a high-grade timber, sturdy, with fine texture and bright color, a superior material for carving, can be used for making furniture, enhancing the treehouse's decorative value, more decorative value. While leaning on the rosewood let him rest, it gradually drifted closer to the tornado's interior with the water flow. Zhu Xin stored the rosewood, continuing to float. There were many floating rosewood pieces turning with the water nearby, likely all thrown from the tornado. Whenever these pieces rotated near him, Zhu Xin swam over to collect them. Soon, he had gathered 12 pieces of rosewood. Zhu Xin figured he had enough and planned to venture to the tornado's center. Blue water grass provides half an hour of underwater breathing ability. He consumed it under the dining table's effect, granting him 45 minutes duration, but even so, its effect had long worn off. Zhu Xin replenished the breathability effect, dove underwater, and swam towards the whirlpool center. As he approached the underwater whirlpool, Zhu Xin noticed the water's pulling force growing increasingly strong. At a distance less than 100 meters, his body started unconsciously spinning with the water flow. Zhu Xin ceased his actions, letting the water carry him towards the center. The spin wasn't fast, he could fully control his body underwater. Suddenly, a familiar sense of crisis arose slowly from within, abruptly tensing his relaxed body. Zhu Xin nervously scanned the surroundings, searching for the danger's source. Underwater remained calm, the water spinning in a circle around the whirlpool center, with seabed stones gradually being swept into the center. As he moved closer to the center of the unseen internal whirlpool, his sense of crisis grew more acute. The danger unquestionably arose from within the whirlpool. While intently gazing at the whirlpool, ripples suddenly appeared in the previously serene swirl, followed by a 4-meter-long fish emerging suddenly. Its sharp spikes on the mouth were incredibly sharp, like a long, sharp sword, directly aimed at Zhu Xin. Chapter 123 Blood-Striped Marlin. Marlin. It's a marlin. And what makes him most fearful is not the sharp and long jaw of the fish, but the very obvious blood-red pattern on the marlin's body, even deeper in color than that on Silver King and Mimi. This is an intermediate mutant creature. An intermediate mutant marlin. Damn it. Why did I encounter such a fish? Isn't his a fish from the ocean? Zhu Xin quickly pulled out his spear from his backpack and stared closely at the next move of the blood-striped marlin. He didn't understand why one of the deep-sea ocean masters would suddenly appear here. He even opened his mouth to take a sip of the water, confirming that this body of water is indeed fresh water. This is too ridiculous. You know, marlins can speed through the water at 110 kilometers per hour, they are the fastest short-distance swimmers in the ocean. Due to their incredible speed, aggressive nature, and strong attack power, they eat anything, and their sharply pointed jaw can be used to deal with larger fish, making adult marlins almost have no natural enemies in the ocean, basically at the top of the food chain. This kind of existence suddenly appeared in this freshwater area formed by a rain, leaving Zuzin puzzled and confused. What on earth is within this vortex? A blood-striped marlin that can survive in freshwater actually emerged from inside. Fortunately, after emerging, the marlin only pointed its sharp and long jaw in Zuzin's direction but did not launch an attack. He was too shocked just now to notice that the marlin's sharp jab is longer than its body, and its stout jab has blood-red rings, looking sinister and terrifying. An intermediate mutant beast will reinforce a part of its body. This marlin has apparently enhanced its long jaw as a weapon. The sinister long jaw aimed at Zuzin stiffened his muscles, ready to evade at any moment. But the blood-striped marlin still did not launch an attack, merely swimming forward before stopping and retreating, seemingly hesitating and fearing something. Zuzin thought of something, and his tense thoughts slightly eased. It seems that the intimidation effect of his python scale armor set on aquatic creatures is starting to become effective. But he still cannot be complacent. As long as he's still in the water, even with an ordinary marlin, he cannot compete, let alone with this intermediate mutant marlin. Even though he's wearing a purple-grade python scale armor set, he hasn't tested its defense capability yet, nor does he know if it can withstand a strike from the enhanced jaw of the blood-striped marlin. At least, blue-grade steel armor is no match for the ear of the intermediate mutant rabbit. In the water, Zuzin's offensive methods are greatly reduced, and his spear cannot unleash its power due to the water's resistance. No, retreat. Zuzin faced the marlin and began to slowly swim backward. But at the moment Zuzin retreated, the blood-striped marlin near the vortex suddenly launched an explosive attack, charging rapidly toward Zuzin. Damn it! Zuzin swam in the direction of the current at his fastest speed, quickly moving away from his original position with the help of the water flow. The marlin brushed past him, narrowly avoiding the attack. The marlin circled back after racing over dozens of meters, returning to a position about 20 meters away from Zuzin, pointing its sharp jaw at him and stopping again, seemingly hesitating once more. The scale armor set still has an effect. Probably because Zuzin's retreat was seen as a show of weakness by the blood-striped marlin, it charged forward aggressively. During the marlin's circling period, Zuzin was already far from the vortex center and had sunk to the bottom of the water. Here, the small trees provided cover. Although only arm-thick, they are randomly distributed underwater, and if the marlin wanted to rush through, it would inevitably hit a few trees. If it wanted to shuttle through the trees, it couldn't swim in a straight line, reducing its stab speed and power, allowing Zuzin to evade with the help of the trees. Of course, if it could return to the vortex, it would be best. However, things didn't go as wished. Seeing Zuzin retreat, the marlin charged toward Zuzin once again. As Zuzin expected, the marlin was shuttling through the trees, not as fast as before, and due to not being able to avoid fast enough, its sharp jaw even scraped the trunks of some small trees during its rapid movement. The marlin brushed past the small trees, directly snapping a few unfortunate ones with its sharp jaw, severing them into two on the spot. Zuzin grasped his spear with one hand, and held onto a small tree with the other. As the blood-striped marlin approached, he leveraged himself and narrowly dodged the marlin's attack once again. He held the spear tightly, leaving its tip at his former position. As the marlin sped by, the spear tip instantly left a mark on its body. The blood of the marlin began to diffuse in the water, and the faint scent of blood filled the nostrils. Zuzin squinted his eyes and swiftly swam toward the direction of the treehouse. From previous hunts of the blood-patterned rabbit and blood-patterned cat, he understood that injured intermediate mutant creatures would relentlessly pursue their enemies who harmed them, even fighting to the death despite severe injuries. So from the moment he wounded the blood-striped marlin, he was already locked in. Zuzin's plan was simple: leverage these small underwater trees as cover and guide the marlin toward the treehouse at maximum speed. In the water, he was no match for the blood-striped marlin, but near the treehouse, harnessing the roots hanging in midair, he could enter the treehouse and use a heavy crossbow to attack. Near the treehouse is his home ground. Close to the water's bottom, Zuzin quickly swam through the forest, and as expected, the marlin, having been wounded, no longer feared the intimidation of his scale armor set, repeatedly launched attacks on Zuzin. Zuzin managed to dodge every time, but it was a pity for the newly grown small trees underwater, which were smashed and snapped by the irrational marlin. Zuzin kept dodging while observing the blood-striped marlin behind him. This intermediate mutant creature emerging from the vortex might be the guardian beast of the vortex, and only by killing it could he explore what exactly lies within the vortex. If it wasn't hurt, it might just return to the vortex of its own accord after straying far away. Only by fully locking on to him could he lure it near the treehouse, where he'd use the treehouse's abilities and a heavy crossbow to kill it, allowing him to return to investigate the contents of the vortex. Although Zuzin was slower than the marlin, his swimming speed was much faster than a normal human, and even amidst constant evasions of the marlin's attacks, it only took about 5 minutes to return a kilometer away, underneath the treehouse, emerging from beneath the water's surface. Eek eek eek. Keek's anxious calls came from above as it had been lying on the windowsill looking out, and seeing Zuzin now, was warning him of the danger behind. Behind him, the marlin once again launched a charge. With Zuzin at the surface, there was no cover, and the marlin's speed was incredibly fast, rushing to his side in an instant, about to pierce his body. But Zuzin had anticipated this, directly grabbing the roots of the treehouse, and with a thought, the roots quickly contracted. He was like a hooked fish pulled from the water. However, the marlin was still a step faster, and even with Zuzin quickly retracting his legs, the sharp jaw still struck his boot. After all, an intermediate mutant beast was much faster than a normal marlin, and without cover, the speed was fast enough to soar. Indeed, as Zuzin was pulled from the water, the marlin's attack was angled upward. With its incredible speed, the marlin directly leaped out from the water, its sharp jaw striking Zuzin's boot and scraping across it, making an unpleasant zzz sound, followed by the entire fish flying diagonally up, reaching a height of 2 to 3 meters before falling back in a parabolic arc into the water. Zuzin felt no pain in his foot, and he lifted his struck foot for a look, slightly relieved. After all, his armor was purple grade, although the marlin's jaw too was reinforced. Based on experience, it was merely the strongest material below purple grade, ultimately still blue grade, naturally not as strong as his scale armor. But even so, owing to its extreme speed and strength, this attack still left a noticeable mark on the surface of his boot, distressing him. Although weapons and armor can be repaired at crafting stations, purple-grade armor requires purple-grade materials. Where does he have purple-grade materials? Damn, dare to damage my purple-grade armor, this blood-striped marlin must die. Chapter 124, Killing the Blood-Striped Marlin. The sound of rain hitting the water was loud, creating ripples that made it hard to see what lay beneath the surface. Fortunately, Zuzin was under the treehouse, and its roof shielded him from the rain. Although the strong wind blew some rain in, the water surface below the treehouse stayed relatively calm. It was just calm enough to barely make out the location and movements of the blood-striped marlin swimming beneath. The blood-striped marlin that had landed in the water was readying itself to attack Zuzin, who was in midair, once again. It dove to the bottom, then accelerated towards Zuzin, rapidly leaping out of the water, soaring 4 to 5 meters high. Zuzin deftly maneuvered aside with his roots, and the fish's blood-striped body brushed past him, directly jabbing into the bottom of the tree canopy, piercing the first floor's floorboard with a crack sound. We can't let it keep attacking. This really could damage the treehouse. You must know, the water surface now was 5 or 6 meters high, with only 4 or 5 meters to the bottom of the treehouse. This fish could leap 4 to 5 meters high, just enough to strike the base of the treehouse. Zuzin pulled out a crossbow, quickly pulling the trigger targeting the marlin about to emerge from the water surface. Whoosh! With his skilled technique, the crossbow arrow shot accurately into the head of the blood-striped marlin, which was thrusting directly upwards and had just leapt out of the water. The mutant creature, with a crossbow arrow embedded in its head, let out a sharp cry, but due to inertia, it still thrust directly towards Zuzin. Zuzin dodged again, quickly reloading, and at the moment the marlin was about to fall back into the water, fired another shot, this time accurately striking the marlin's tail. A sharp, piercing scream rang out again, and the marlin frantically accelerated under the water, attempting to leap out and attack Zuzin once more. But Zuzin wasn't going to play with it anymore. He quickly entered the first floor of the treehouse, lunged toward the heavy crossbow positioned in this direction, and activated automatic firing. The heavy crossbow in this direction was one of the enhanced heavy crossbows he made with cat claws. Its firing speed and power were much stronger than his first crossbow, and the accuracy of its automatic firing was also much higher. At least higher than when operated by Zuzin himself. The blood-striped marlin was too fast. If he were to operate it himself, he wouldn't be able to hit it at all. Footsteps echoed down the corridor as Silver King and Mimi descended from the 3rd floor, with Keek also riding on Silver King's back. Yep. Keek jumped over directly, and Zuzin quickly caught it. Yip yip. Keek wriggled free from Zuzin's arms, crawled down to the ground along his body, and began circling around his scratched foot. It seemed the little one was worried that Zuzin had been injured by the marlin. Alright, Keek, I'm not hurt, just my armor got scraped a bit. Zuzin patted Keek's little head. Yep. Keek finally relaxed, gave a reassuring pat to its tiny chest, and then turned to crawl up onto the windowsill to look outside. Hearing Zuzin's words, both Silver King and Mimi relaxed. Silver King sat on the floor, and Mimi began licking its fur again. Zuzin also went to the window to gaze downward. As he vanished from sight, the blood-striped marlin below was circling rapidly beneath the spot where he entered the treehouse, waiting for his reappearance. By the looks of it, as soon as he showed up again, the marlin would rush out of the water at lightning speed to attack him. Meanwhile, the heavy crossbow, set to auto attack by Zuzin, was rotating its aim along with the marlin but had yet to fire a single arrow. What's going on? Could it be that the crossbow has determined it couldn't hit, and simply stopped firing? Zuzin was speechless. Couldn't it be a bit more intelligent, predict a leading shot or something? But seeing the marlin's incredibly fast spinning speed below, Zuzin realized that predicting its position was indeed a bit too challenging for his crossbow. Looks like he'd need to step out once more to lure the marlin out of the water. As soon as it flew out to attack him, being airborne would mean a lowest hovering speed, under which his top-grade crossbow would definitely hit it. However, Zuzin felt a bit uncertain. The marlin had been accelerating in circles below for so long, its speed was already astonishingly fast, and with such velocity, he might truly not be able to evade its thrust. Ah yes, the bat. His blood-patterned bat. It's your time to shine, my little bat. Zuzin immediately released the blood-striped bat from his wristband. With his feeding over the past few days, combined with the influence of irradiated stone, this bat underwent significant changes. The bat, which originally only had faint blood-red patterns, had stripes that changed significantly, now becoming truly a low-level mutant beast. In addition to fast flight speed, it was a smaller target compared to Zuzin, making it less susceptible to being hit, and it also had an ultrasonic capability to disturb the opponent's senses, making it an ideal decoy for this operation. Even if it were to die in this operation, as long as it took the blood-striped marlin down with it, it would be a worthy death. A bat that wasn't even a low-level mutant beast originally, being able to drag down a mid-level mutant creature to its grave sounded quite inspiring. Zuzin explained the task to the bat, then sent it outside the treehouse. Underneath the tree canopy of the treehouse, the blood-striped bat suddenly emerged, flapping its wings to fly towards the direction outside the canopy. This was Zuzin's command. The heavy crossbow was installed on the outer wall of the treehouse, and the further out it was, the higher the chance of the heavy crossbow hitting its target. Of course, the most important thing was that Zuzin didn't want the marlin to pierce the bottom of his treehouse at such a fast speed. Such a speed would have a tremendous impact, which might really cause damage. At this moment, the bat flying slowly with flapping wings in the air was like a moving living target. The blood-striped marlin, its eyes red from injury, saw something moving from the place where Zuzin had just gone in. Without thinking, it adjusted its direction after circling a few times and suddenly leaped out of the water with great speed, stabbing straight at the bat, which had already flown outside the tree canopy. The speed was like a bullet. If it had been Zuzin, he probably wouldn't have been able to dodge. But the bat was also a low-level mutated beast, the sky was its domain, so how could it allow a fish to harm it? It flapped its wings, tilted its body to the side, narrowly avoiding the marlin's sharp jaw attack, but was still hit by the marlin's body and knocked over 10 meters away, flapping its wings chaotically before stabilizing itself in the air. This time, the marlin's thrust went straight up to the height of the third-floor treehouse. The highest point of the parabola is the slowest point of motion. Because the marlin was almost thrusting straight up, it even achieved a brief moment of hovering at the highest point. In an instant, the heavy crossbow made a loud twang of its string and a click sound as it fired, launching the crossbow arrow rapidly toward the blood-striped marlin in the air. With the speed and weight of the crossbow arrow, the enormous penetrating force directly shot the marlin through. Yay! Whoa! Meow! Upon seeing this, Keek and Silver King both cheered, even Mimi let out a cat-like sound that didn't match its appearance. The heavy crossbow arrow continued to fly forward with the marlin's body and fell into the water not far away. Killed a polluted mutated marlin, earned points, 100 points, Calculating at a ratio of 5-to-1, the points of this blood-striped marlin were the same as those of the blood-patterned cat and the blood-patterned rabbit, which means it was indeed a mid-level mutated beast. Zuzin let out a long sigh of relief. He finally managed to handle this fish. Fighting with a mid-level aquatic mutated creature in the water was really too dangerous. First, let's retrieve the carcass of the mutated marlin. The carcass of a mid-level mutated creature is all blue-grade materials. Zuzin quickly dove into the water, swimming toward the impact point of the crossbow arrow and the marlin's corpse. Soon, he saw the crossbow arrow embedded in the seabed and the marlin's corpse skewered on it. The crossbow arrow had hit the marlin's head just right, piercing it through, which was why the fish died instantly. Zuzin immediately stored it in his backpack, swam back to the treehouse, grabbed a root, and was about to enter the treehouse. Wait, where's his bat? He swung midair, looking around. There was no sign of the bat in the air. Looking back, he found a blood-patterned bat hanging upside down in the tree canopy below the treehouse. Zuzin swung over, intending to store it in his bracelet. Unexpectedly, the bat withdrew a little, seemingly unwilling to enter the bracelet. Zuzin frowned. Is this resisting my command? No, these creatures aren't supposed to have their own will, right? Could it be? After upgrading to a low-level mutated beast through radiation stones, it has changed? He looked at the bat, tentatively asking, "Do you want to enter the treehouse with me, or do you want to hang here? Stay still if you want to enter the treehouse, flap your wings twice if you want to hang here." Under Zoo's surprised gaze, the bat hung upside down and nimbly flapped its wings twice. It has its own response. It's really regained its will. This radiation stone has this kind of benefit. Then in the future, the mutated beasts created by using the mutation potion should also regain their will if needed. Wonderful. Zuzin left the bat outside and told it that it could hunt the fish in the water by itself but not fly too far away and to alert him with a call if there was any situation. Arriving at the first level of the treehouse, Zuzin released the body of the marlin. The nearly 3-meter body length plus the 3 meters of sharp jaws were utterly gigantic up close, scaring the 3 beasts nearby with curiosity. Taking out the boning knife, Zuzin disassembled the marlin's corpse. Obtained, 1 piece of blue-grade polluted mutated marlin bone. Obtained, 1 piece of blue-grade polluted mutated marlin jaw. Obtained, 1 piece of blue-grade polluted mutated marlin dorsal fin. Obtained, 430 kilograms of gray-grade polluted mutated marlin meat, 3 blue-grade materials. Among them, the jaw and dorsal fin were special materials. The jaw could be used to make weapons, similar to rabbit ears and cat claws, while the dorsal fin could make armor. The weight of the polluted marlin meat made Zuzin ecstatic, a whopping more than 400 kilograms. Note, a single bottle of mutation potion requires just 5 kilograms. With these 430 kilograms, 86 bottles of potions can be made. Adding the previous mutation meat, the number of potions he could make soared to triple digits, directly achieving freedom of mutation potions. He had so much that he couldn't use it all himself. It felt like he could start trading with the community of explorers. Of course, a mutated beast contract was not feasible, as he didn't have the capability to make it himself. 1 less each time he used one. Offering 1 to Lee Winxie was already the limit. Next, let's check out the vortex under the tornado and see what's inside. Chapter 125, Resources in the Vortex. Before leaving, Zuzin wanted to leave the new resources he had brought back from outside inside the house. He took out the wooden bucket, and the small fish were still swimming joyfully inside it. He directly made a large fish tank half a person's height out of glass and placed it next to the screen on the 3rd level, pouring the water and fish from the bucket into it. Detected, 52 units of green-grade colorful scale fish breeding in the treehouse. Treehouse decoration increase, plus 10.4. Current treehouse decoration degree, 10.4. The sudden voice startled Zuzin. A new attribute, decoration degree, appeared. Zuzin went to the screen and found that a new option had been added to the main choices, decoration degree. After opening, the interface displayed a single line of text, breeding 52 green-grade colorful scale fish, decoration degree increased by 10.4. Apart from this, the interface had no other words. 52 colorful scale fish added 10.4, which meant each fish increased the decoration degree by 0.2. So what exactly is this decoration degree for? Must it reach a certain value to be visible? At this moment, Keek climbed to the edge of the fish tank, curiously poking her head to look at the colorful little fish inside. Keek, and you too, Zuzin said to the 3 beasts, you're not allowed to catch these little fish to eat, they're for viewing, got it? Ying. Keek nodded her little head, using her small paws to stir the surface of the water in the fish tank. The Wolf King followed with a howl. Mimi seemed to curl her lip, as if saying that these small fish weren't even enough to fill the gaps between her teeth. Zuzin took out the redwood from his backpack along with the colorful crystals he had picked from underwater. Detected placement in treehouse, 1 piece of green-grade blue crystal, 1 piece of green-grade purple crystal, 1 piece of green-grade red crystal, 1 piece of green-grade green crystal. Treehouse decoration increase, plus 4. Current treehouse decoration degree, 14.4. The redwood did not trigger a prompt sound. The redwood's description said it could be carved into sculptures or made into furniture, which then can increase the decoration degree. And the introduction of those crystals also mentioned they could be carved. Does this mean carved crystals increase the decoration degree even more? But this wasn't something Zuzin needed to consider, as he didn't know how to carve. The urgent task now was to return to the underwater whirlpool beneath the tornado to see what exactly was inside it. Since there was an intermediate mutated creature guarding it, there must be some good things inside. Perhaps it was even connected to somewhere, otherwise where did this sailfish come from? Zuzin looked outside at the tornado, which remained as fearsome as ever, continuously throwing things outward. He once again dived into the water, quickly swimming towards the direction of the tornado. Along the way, he discovered several green-grade crystals and some redwood, which seemed to have been newly spat out. Apart from the previous colors, Zuzin also found yellow crystal and white crystal, adding 2 new colors. Packing these new resources into his backpack, he quickly swam to the side of the underwater whirlpool. This time, Zuzin did not feel a sense of crisis, but he dared not be careless, stopped his movement, and followed along with the surrounding water flow, slowly rotating towards the whirlpool. He could see the white-grade crystals on the seabed being gradually swept close by the whirlpool, eventually being sucked into it. Gradually, Zuzin was only a few meters away from the outside of the whirlpool, and the current pull was very strong. Zuzin felt he could no longer resist the suction of the current, but he did not panic, allowing the current to pull him into the whirlpool. Passing through the outer edge of the whirlpool, the drag increased once again, the speed quickened. Zuzin stabilized his mind, carried by the whirlpool, spinning faster and faster, getting closer to the whirlpool's center. Suddenly, Zuzin was thrown out, staggering, his feet hitting the ground, and he couldn't help but run forward a few steps. Indeed, he was stepping on solid ground. He was spun to the point of dizziness, almost thinking he was hallucinating. Is this the eye of the tornado? So cold. Zuzin shivered from the cold. He was thrown into the inside of the water vortex, and inside the whirlpool, astonishingly, there was no water. Zuzin was too lazy to explain it scientifically, it made no sense. Looking up at the surroundings, the lower layer was a 5 or 6 meter vortex water ring, and above that was the tornado. Although the spiral below was very peculiar, the water absorption was very slow, the rotation speed was not fast, part of the water was still sucked into the tornado, and gradually rose, becoming fog, causing the topmost cloud layer to increasingly oppress. Luckily, there was no wind in the eye, just a rather low temperature and low air pressure. He had just emerged from the water, and was still wet, shivering from the cold and having difficulty breathing. He urgently began searching for what he wanted. The entire eye of the tornado was a circular area roughly 10 meters in diameter. The small trees from just now in the vortex area were gone, swept away by the tornado, yet in this area, these little trees were surprisingly undamaged, not destroyed by the tornado. What is that? Zuzin discovered that in the center of the small grove, there was a wooden box that looked shabby, very small, about the size of a beer crate. He hurried over. No, it's too cold and uncomfortable here. He can't stay too long. It seems like he'll need to use the pill Cheegsvi gave him when he gets back. Soaking wet and still so cold, it would be outrageous if he didn't catch a cold or fever. As he stood in front of the wooden box and got a clearer look at it, Zuzin's eye twitched a bit. This is so broken. Was this box picked out from a trash heap? He got the feeling that this wooden box was dropped here after being ravaged. Could this just be a piece of junk fallen out of a tornado? But in the eye of the storm, other than a small tree, there was only this broken box. Zuzin reluctantly crouched down. The box was locked, but as it was already very broken, Zuzin could even see some of its contents through the gaps, which seemed to be some colorful stones, emitting green and blue light. Green-grade resources and blue-grade resources. Zuzin's eyes lit up, and with a strong twist, he directly ripped off the box lid. His strength now was indeed quite substantial. The box was full of colorful crystals, exactly like the ones Zuzin had picked up from the water outside. Zuzin rummaged through and took out a few crystals emitting blue light. Red crystal, blue, exceptionally beautiful crystal, placing it in the treehouse can enhance decoration, suitable for carving. At the same time, there was also a blue crystal and a white crystal, both of blue grade. Is this all? Zuzin wasn't satisfied. He had killed an intermediate mutant beast to get in, surely there couldn't be just this little resource here. He turned the box over and dumped all its contents out. A streak of purple light appeared, immediately bringing a smile to his lips. Sure enough, there were purple-grade resources here. It was a card, and just by looking at its form, Zuzin could tell it was another kind of contract. Picking up the card, unfamiliar text gradually appeared on the somewhat damp card. Artist contract, purple. After using this contract, unlock the artist option, enabling crafting blueprints related to sculpture and painting, and gain mastery in carving and painting. Zuzin? For a moment, he felt this contract was worthless. But then he thought, the new resources he had obtained earlier seemed to be related to carving. Could this contract help create sculptures and paintings that enhance decoration? Beside the contract, there was another purple crystal, but unlike the other crystals, this one also emitted purple light. Another purple-grade resource. Zuzin reached out and picked up the purple crystal. Purple crystal, purple, exceptionally beautiful and durable crystal, placing it in the treehouse can enhance decoration, suitable for carving, purple carving materials. Zuzin didn't hesitate to crush the contract in his hand. A warm current flowed from his hand into his heart, pulsating with his heartbeat throughout his body. Feeling the enhancement of his physique and strength once more, Zuzin clenched his fist. Meanwhile, his mind suddenly was filled with numerous memories of carving and painting, as if being crammed into him. He felt that now, as long as he picked up a carving knife or paintbrush, He could create artworks that would astonish the world. Zuzin opened his watch. Sure enough, under the main option of Decoration Degree, and New Artist, sub-option lit up. Upon opening it, there were only 3 crafting projects in the option. Green Grade Carving Tool Set, capable of carving green grade materials to create green grade sculptures. Required materials: 1 block of green grade iron, 1 piece of green grade wood, green grade brush, when dipped in water, can paint desired ink paintings, used to create green grade artworks. Required materials: 1 piece of green grade wood, 1 strand of green grade animal hair, blue grade carving and painting workbench, the only workbench where works of historical significance can be carved and painted. Required materials: 10 pieces of green grade redwood, 5 pieces of blue grade stone. My goodness, a set of tools for carving and painting. This is really going to turn him into an artist. Zuzin was a bit speechless. He still didn't know what the decoration degree was used for, so he didn't feel much excitement about this ability, feeling rather subtle. Hopefully, the decoration degree will have great use. After going back, he decided to try carving a bit to enhance the decoration degree of the treehouse. He looked up, originally just wanting to see if any other advanced resources might drop down, but what he saw made his gaze tighten. There was a small purple-black vortex about 2 meters above his head, quietly spinning there. What is this thing? Zuzin's eyelid twitched. This purple-black vortex looked almost like a miniature black hole, making the surrounding space appear warped. But strangely enough, the vortex had no effect on the surrounding trees or on Zuzin below. It just hung in the air, quietly spinning. What the heck is this? How is there a smaller vortex in the eye of the tornado? Chapter 126, Purple-Black Vortex. Zuzin stared at the small vortex above her head and picked up a stone from the ground. This purplish-black vortex was only the size of a soccer ball, quietly spinning, with the surrounding space constantly twisting as if it were about to suck all the space into it. Zuzin stepped back a few meters, kept her distance, and then threw the stone in her hand towards the purplish-black vortex. At the moment the vortex was hit by the stone, Zuzin saw the vortex suddenly ripple, and then the stone vanished into the vortex. Simultaneously, the water vortex surrounding the area trembled like a wall, with some water sprinkling onto the ground of this internal space, and even the tornado above twisted suddenly. Does throwing something into this purplish-black vortex affect the tornado? Could it be the reason for the tornado's formation? Zuzin picked up a larger stone and threw it over. The same scenario occurred again, but the magnitude was a bit larger this time. The surrounding water vortex distorted, and the tornado above twisted for a while before returning to its original form. Damn! A fist-sized stone fell from the sky and hit the ground in front of Zuzin, making him exclaim in surprise. The previous twist caused the resources spinning inside the tornado to be affected, falling into this small internal area, causing a rain of resources in the air. Zuzin immediately retreated to the edge of the water vortex. If those things got close to the tornado or the water vortex again, they would be sucked in, so the edge of the area was safe. Many redwoods and crystals fell into this area, along with several beast corpses that fell down with a splat sound. The scene was somewhat gruesome, causing Zuzin, who had hunted countless beasts, to twitch his face. It seems that the tornado around here is indeed caused by this small vortex. After the resource rain stopped, he immediately began scavenging. The fallen items were green-grade redwoods and crystals, all of which Zuzin welcomed into his backpack as they could be used as carving materials, potentially very useful to him. As for the beast corpses turned to meat paste. No thanks. They were a bit disgusting, and ordinary beast materials were basically useless to him now. Zuzin picked up another stone. He had tasted sweet success. It seemed like as long as he forcefully attacked this black vortex, the tornado would twist, and countless resources would fall down. This way, he could comfortably gather resources without having to search all over the place. Another rain of resources fell. Zuzin stood delightedly by the water vortex, watching countless resources fall from the sky, then went forward to scavenge. Just as he picked up a stone again, intending to attack the purplish-black vortex for the 4th time, he stopped. Because he noticed that each time he attacked this small vortex, it would grow a bit larger. The vortex, originally the size of a soccer ball, was gradually expanding to the size of a tire. Moreover, from the once silent vortex, fragmented sounds began to emerge. The woo-woo sound resembled a sinister wind echoing through the valleys, though intermittent. Zuzin could still catch it. Is there something inside? Zuzin suddenly became alert. He suddenly thought of that blood-striped marlin. Before he came in, he kept wondering, where did this marlin come from? Could it have surfaced from this purplish-black vortex? Is this purplish-black vortex actually connected to other places? For a moment, Zuzin felt an urge to go in and take a look, but that thought was immediately dispelled by himself. That would be like an old man hanging himself, seeking death. He wasn't looking to shorten his life. However, continuing to throw stones into it was still something he could try. He was a bit curious about what might appear when the vortex expanded to a certain size. So, he threw the stone in his hand. The vortex stirred, the tornado twisted, and yet another batch of resources fell. By the 7th time he threw a stone, the purplish-black vortex had expanded to roughly a size Susan could directly jump into, with a diameter close to 2 meters, and the sounds within the vortex became clearer. Woo-woo. Woo-woo. It sounds a bit like a child crying, but Susan can still distinguish that this is actually just the sound of the wind, the kind of sound that occurs when wind passes through a valley with peculiar terrain. On the other side of this vortex, it might really be leading to another place. But Susan didn't concern himself with the vortex first. Instead, he picked up the batch of descending resources. Clearly, the quantity is much less than before, with only a few scattered pieces. It seems that even in this tornado, there aren't many resources, basically already drained by him. Susan checked his backpack, over 100 green-grade crystals, over 100 green-grade redwood pieces. In addition, there are some ordinary stones, wood, and beast corpses on the ground, which he did not pick up. With the backpack on his back, he looked up at the purple-black vortex before him, which had grown quite large. Aside from the eerie wind sounds, there were other noises in the vortex, like the sound of rocks rolling or the rustling of leaves in the wind. And the sound of something writhing. He can now basically confirm that this vortex leads to another place. This vortex, causing the tornado, likely functions like a portal or wormhole. What exactly is on the other side of this vortex? This vortex appearing here certainly has a reason. But he doesn't know what the position inside the vortex is, whether all places in this world have been invaded by subterranean creatures, whether inside the vortex is within a protected zone, and if entering will transport him out of the protected zone, surrounded by subterranean creatures. If only Keek were here, it could tell him whether there's danger or treasure inside the vortex. Susan decided to test it first. Using the Treehouse manufacturing function on his watch, he made a wooden stick. A wooden stick can be made without a weapon manufacturing station. Because the vortex had grown much larger, the lowest edge is now only slightly taller than Susan. The surrounding space distortion made him not dare to get too close. He gripped the wooden stick tightly in hand and cautiously reached toward the vortex. Just as the stick touched the vortex edge, a force came from the stick, instantly pulling half of it into the vortex. Susan immediately pulled with force to jerk the half-absorbed stick out. Looking at the stick he pulled out, Susan's eye twitched. Indeed. The stick, pulled in for less than a second, was now riddled with holes, as if it was corroded by acid. The stick was coated with some dark red viscous substance, still sizzling, eroding the stick, emitting black smoke. Crack. The wooden stick, eroded beyond recognition, snapped, the damaged half falling to the ground and shattering, while the sticky substance clung to the ground, eroding a hole several centimeters deep before gradually disappearing. Is it really this terrifying? Luckily, he had anticipated this might happen, made the stick to experiment first. Susan was now very sensitive to red things, and seeing the dark red viscous substance, he immediately thought of mutant beasts. Could it be some mutant beast's secretions? And that mutant beast is guarding on the other side? Susan speculated. No matter what, he absolutely would not go into this vortex, it's too dangerous inside. But this doesn't mean he wouldn't do anything. He directly pulled out his crossbow, aimed at the vortex, and fired. If there really is a mutant monster inside, let's give it some trouble. The crossbow arrow shot into the vortex, causing a wave, and then disappeared. As the arrow vanished, the sounds inside the vortex abruptly stopped. The eerie wind sounds, leaves rustling, occasional rock rolling all suddenly ceased. The purple-black vortex quietly rotated, returning to its initial state. What's going on? Susan frowned. Why did the sounds stop? Suddenly, the vortex began wildly fluctuating again, this time very intensely, like boiling water, but emanating a piercing cold. Susan's face changed dramatically, just as he thought the vortex would explode. Planning to flee, it abruptly contracted inward, shrinking to a tiny point and then vanished without warning. And along with it vanished the surrounding water vortex and the massive tornado in the air. It was just in that instant. The tornado disappeared, and materials still caught in it were flung into the surroundings by inertia. The surrounding water stopped spinning, freely flowing from all sides, engulfing Susan standing on the ground. Susan hadn't even reacted, suddenly submerged, choking a bit. He quickly swam to the water surface. The tornado truly vanished, the cloud seemed to have a big hole, with sunlight streaming through, reflecting on the water and causing ripples. But this gap in the clouds quickly filled in, the localized clear sky appearing for only a dozen seconds, before rain once again battered Susan's face. Chapter 127, Tai Kai Fish the Tornado. Disappeared? Zuzin looked bewildered. He was just thinking about how to deal with the monster in the whirlpool, but in just a few dozens of seconds, everything around him changed. The tornado disappeared along with the purple-black whirlpool, all in an instant. Fortunately, the storm hadn't stopped yet, allowing Zuzin to still feel a hint of reality. He looked around. This huge tornado is not the only one near his treehouse. Zuzin found that only the tornado near his treehouse disappeared. Floating on the water, he looked around. Those tornadoes in the distance were still spinning in their original positions, connecting the dark clouds in the sky, like gigantic funnels leading straight to the heavens, creating a very oppressive atmosphere, completely resembling an apocalyptic natural disaster scene. While Zuzin was still floating on the water in a daze, a mysterious voice sounded. "Congratulations, survivor, for being the first person in this batch of survivors to artificially eliminate a tornado. The reward will be issued after the event concludes." This voice snapped Zuzin back to reality. He actually artificially eliminated a tornado. But what did he do? He killed the blood-striped marlin guarding the eye of the storm, entered the underwater eye of the tornado, found a broken wooden chest with purple-level treasure inside, and then discovered a small purple-black whirlpool and launched an attack against it. And the tornado disappeared because he shot the purple-black whirlpool with a crossbow arrow. It seems that just by attacking the whirlpool, which should be the cause and core of the tornado, the entire tornado can be eliminated. That's quite simple. However, it is indeed quite difficult for ordinary survivors. Just the presence of an intermediate mutant aquatic beast is enough to deter most people, let alone anyone daring like him to enter the underwater whirlpool. He dared to enter the whirlpool, go deep into the eye of the storm, completely because Keek told him that the tornado itself was not dangerous, and there is treasure inside. Without Keek, he definitely wouldn't have dared to enter. Speaking of which, what's inside that small whirlpool core? Those eerie sounds and the dark red viscous substance, everything within the whirlpool greatly piqued Zuzin's curiosity. However, the tornado has already disappeared, and within the protection range of his treehouse, this was the only tornado. He can only wait until the next time he encounters that strange whirlpool to unravel the mystery. Zuzin ate another water plant, dived into the water, and began searching for any mystery sources in this tornado-ravaged area. With the water whirlpool gone, and all the small trees around destroyed by the tornado except for a small patch in the center, Zuzin could clearly see everything under the water. Huh? Are these ornamental fish again? On the other side of the tornado-ravaged area, two fish swam through the underwater forest. These two fish, one black and one white, the size of carp, kept swimming in circles around each other, emitting a blue glow. Blue-grade fish. Zuzin rejoiced and quickly swam over. Just like the colorful scale fish encountered before, the black and white fish did not evade as Zuzin approached, but instead swam towards him and began circling around him. Perhaps it was due to the effect of the scale armor suit. Zuzin reached out and grabbed the white fish, which did not struggle but remained quietly in his hand, while the black fish continued to circle around him. Taikai white fish, blue, advanced ornamental fish, can be raised in treehouses to increase the decoration level, and paired with Taikai black fish will double the decoration level and gradually improve the physical condition of survivors residing in treehouses, promoting longevity. This black and white pair of fish, it turns out they're called Taikai fish, indeed very fitting. Moreover, raising them in a treehouse can improve physical condition and promote longevity. Such treasures, in times of peace, are priceless. For survivors wary of imminent death, the function of promoting longevity seems not so precious, because who knows if they might die unexpectedly the next day, thus rendering extended lifespan useless. However, improving physical condition is still a very powerful function. For survivors, even minor illnesses can affect physical state, like the fever and hypothermia that might result from this storm, which poses a significant threat as survivors are constantly in danger. Enhanced physical condition reduces the likelihood of contracting these illnesses and speeds up recovery if afflicted. Very nice. Zuzin cheerfully packed the two fish into a water-filled wooden barrel and placed it into his backpack. After swimming another circle around the tornado-ravaged zone, apart from the scattered white-grade stones everywhere, there were no other resources left. By this time, it was nearing evening, the cloud-covered sky had darkened even more. Zuzin counted the resources at hand and began swimming towards the treehouse. Along the way, we encountered many fish swimming out from the lake. Compared to after the battle between the anaconda and crocodile, their bodies have indeed grown larger, even bigger than when we saw them this morning. Their scales appear more textured, and even in this dim twilight, they still reflect a faint glow. They seem to have truly evolved to a higher level due to the anaconda and crocodile blood, carrying a hint of mutated beast aura. But like the anaconda and crocodile, despite being much larger than their normal counterparts, they do not have the blood red patterns characteristic of mutated beasts. Why is that? Could it be the anaconda and crocodile follow a different evolutionary path? Their bodies do not radiate the resource-grade glow like ornamental fish, so Zuzin could only kill a nearly half-meter-long grass carp. He took out his boning knife and dissected the fish in the water on the spot. To his disappointment, it was just an ordinary fish, with resources ranking no higher than green level, meaning its meat was just a bit more abundant. Is it simply that they have grown larger, or did they not complete the mutation? Zuzin thought. These fish were bigger than this morning, indicating they were still growing. He planned to check again in a few days. However, after the rainy season, this stretch of water in the jungle will be gone, hopefully prompting the fish to swim back to the lake. Zuzin quickly swam back to the treehouse, grabbed onto the roots, and ascended to the third layer, tossing a piece of fish to the bats hanging under the treehouse. After seeing the tornado dissipate, Keek and the Silver King were drawn to the window. When they saw Zuz in return, Coco's Silver King approached, while Mimi stayed by the window but turned her eyes towards Zuzin. Zuzin narrated his experiences to them, while creating a large fish tank and putting a black and white taiji fish into it. As soon as the two fish entered the tank, they began circling around the center. Detected in treehouse, 1 piece of blue-grade taiji white fish, 1 piece of blue-grade taiji black fish, treehouse decoration points plus 16, triggered taiji fish combo effect, additional plus 16 decoration points, current treehouse decoration points, 46.4, wow, 2 fish added 32 decoration points directly, worthy of being blue-level ornamental fish. Simultaneously, Zuzin felt a gentle wave emanating from the fish, affecting his body. This must be the effect of enhancing physique and prolonging life. However, since it's fish farming, he naturally had to feed them something. He couldn't feed them meat like Coco's Silver King, especially the group of colorful scale fish, so small in size. Being special ornamental fish, they must have special fish food, right? Zuzin thought of something and began searching through the points store, soon finding it. Ornamental fish food, green, necessary for feeding ornamental fish, just sprinkle into the tank. Points, 50, 35, oh my, a bag of fish food costs 50 points. Bear in mind, killing a mid-level mutated creature only rewarded him with 100 points. This farming cost is too high. Thankfully, he had a 30% discount, and he painfully exchanged for a bag of fish food. The fish food bag was tiny, filled with cherry pit-sized pellets. Zuzin sprinkled a dozen pellets into the taiji fish tank. The two fish stopped circling and began eating the food. But they didn't eat it all. Each fish only ate 5 pellets before resuming their rotation, leaving the rest sinking to the bottom. Zuzin sprinkled a dozen pellets into the colorful scale fish tank, causing a frenzy as they collectively started nibbling at the food. However, Zuzin noticed they only ate 3 or 4 pellets before returning to their leisurely state. He let out a sigh of relief, thankful the consumption wasn't high. If they ate just this much daily, the bag of food could last about 10 to 15 days. But even so, the required points are quite substantial. Next time, he'll try ordinary meat or fruit to see if they eat it. This month, fish farming alone consumes nearly 100 points, which is quite a bit. But the taiji fish's effect is so strong, he desperately needs it, so no matter the cost, he must continue farming them. He boiled some water and lay in the bathtub, enjoying a comfy hot bath. Soon, I'll try my new abilities in carving and painting, hopefully they'll be useful for survival. Chapter 128, Enhancing Treehouse Decor. After taking a bath to soothe his tired body from a long day, Zuzin began trying out his new abilities. He first sorted through the new materials in his hand. Over 100 colorful green-grade crystals, and 132 pieces of redwood, all of which can be used for carving. The redwood can also be used to craft furniture. Zuzin took out all the crystals and placed them on the floor. These crystals themselves can also increase the decorative points of the treehouse. Detected placement in treehouse: 1 piece of green-grade white crystal, 1 piece of green-grade yellow crystal, 1 piece of blue-grade red crystal, 1 piece of blue-grade blue crystal, 1 piece of blue-grade white crystal, 1 piece of purple-grade purple crystal. Treehouse decoration points plus 16, current treehouse decoration points, 62.4. He poured out so many crystals, why only add 16 decor points? According to the previous calculation, each green-grade crystal could add 1 decor point. So he went to the screen and clicked on the Decor Points option. In the option, all the items that had decor points were listed. Breeding 52 units of green-grade colorful scale fish, decoration points increased by 10.4. Breeding blue-grade taiji white fish and taiji black fish, decoration points increased by 32. Placing green-grade red, yellow, blue, green, purple, and white crystals, decoration points increased by 6. Placing blue-grade red, blue, and white crystals, decoration points increased by 9. Placing purple-grade purple crystal, Decoration points increased by 5, total decoration points, 62.4. Zuzin glanced over and immediately understood the method of calculating these stones' decor points. It turned out that no matter how many crystals of the same level and color there are, only the decor points of one crystal can be added. In other words, even though he had dozens of red crystals, green, these red crystals, green, only added 1 decor point in total. Crystals only come in 6 colors, so all his green grade crystals together only added 6 decor points to his treehouse. Come to think of it, a pile of rough stones couldn't possibly add too much. Zuzin calculated that, apart from green grade crystals, each blue grade crystal only adds 3 decor points, and purple grade crystals only add 5 decor points. Isn't his too little? According to his previous calculation of the exchange rate between wood, stone, blue and green grades, it was about 50:1. How could the difference between blue grade and green grade decor points be so small? Could it be that only after they are carved into finished products does the advantage of blue grade and purple grade materials become apparent? The requirements for carving are many, so I should first see how the redwood furniture is. Going back to the screen, Zuzin clicked on the Treehouse Renovation option. Sure enough, after acquiring the redwood materials, several new methods for making redwood furniture appeared in the options. Green grade redwood bookshelf, a classic and elegant bookshelf that increases decoration points when placed in the treehouse. Required materials, 3 pieces of green grade redwood. The first item surprised Zuzin a bit. He hadn't expected a big bookshelf to require only 3 pieces of redwood to make. Thinking about it, while other wood is calculated by blocks, redwood is calculated by pieces. 1 piece of redwood is much larger than other wood, and he understood. He continued looking down. Green grade redwood cabinet, a classic and elegant cabinet that increases decoration points when placed in the treehouse. Required materials, 3 pieces of green grade redwood, still only requires consuming 3 pieces of redwood. In addition, there are a redwood desk, redwood chair, redwood bed, redwood wardrobe, redwood bedside table, and redwood dressing table. All of these can increase decor points. Unfortunately, Zuzin currently doesn't have blue grade redwood. The furniture made from this green grade redwood can only increase decor points and has no other abilities, so they cannot replace his current furniture. But making them and placing them in the treehouse specifically to increase decor points is still feasible. Zuzin immediately crafted a redwood bookshelf and cabinet, placing the bookshelf in the small study and the cabinet under the screen as a TV cabinet. Detected redwood bookshelf, green, placed in the treehouse, decor points +3, current treehouse decor points, 65.4. Detected redwood cabinet, green, placed in the treehouse, decor points +3, current treehouse decor points, 68.4. Each piece of redwood furniture can increase decor points by 3. So, he also made a redwood desk and 2 redwood chairs and placed them in the study. Redwood desk, green, decor points +3, current treehouse decor points, 71.4. Redwood chair, green, decor points +3, current treehouse decor points, 74.4, exactly. He made 2 chairs, but only added 3 decor points. These pieces of furniture are similar to the nature of the crystals, as the same furniture cannot provide duplicate decor points. Originally, he was considering whether he could use the quantity of redwood furniture to stack the decoration level, but it seems that's not possible. Currently, there are only 8 redwood furniture blueprints in total available on the list. So, Zuzin decided to make 1 each of the remaining bed, bedside table, wardrobe, and dressing table. His bedroom had a blue-level wooden bed that couldn't be replaced with a redwood bed, so he placed the redwood bed and dressing table in the second empty bedroom and put the bedside table and wardrobe in his room. After making these 4 pieces of redwood furniture, Zuzin's treehouse decoration level reached 86.4. Currently, there's only so much redwood furniture that can be made. He can't increase the decoration level with furniture anymore unless he can get blue-level materials to make blue-level furniture. According to the decoration level of crystals, different grades are not considered the same resources. Let's aim to exceed 100 decoration level today. Perhaps it will become apparent what's the effect once it exceeds 100. Next is carving and painting. Carving and painting are much more troublesome than making furniture. He needs to first make the corresponding tools. He opened the crafting list to check the tools related to carving. Green grade carving tool set can carve green grade materials to create green grade statues. Required materials: 1 block of green grade iron, 1 piece of green grade wood, blue grade carving and painting workbench, the only workbench where you can create historically memorable works. Required materials: 5 pieces of green grade redwood, 5 pieces of blue grade stone. The tool set is at least green grade, only capable of carving green grade materials, so Zeus indefinitely has to make a blue grade one, which requires a blue iron block and blue wood. The workbench doesn't seem to have restrictions. Based on previous experiences, the grade of working table items is fixed. Therefore, this carving and painting workbench can only be blue grade. He does have plenty of red wood, but currently, he really doesn't have any blue grade stones. But Li Wenxi definitely has them. She is never short of these things. Zhu Xin immediately sent a video call to Li Wenxi. The other side picked up in a few seconds. Li Wenxi was cuddled up on the sofa rubbing her eyes. She's not good at swimming. After the activity started, she splashed around near the treehouse for a bit and didn't find anything, so she came back. With nothing to do in the treehouse, she and Chigzfei, Wang Lei, and the others who stayed indoors just chatted until they fell asleep. You're sleeping in the middle of the day? Zhu Xin was a bit speechless. What can I do? I'm not like you, so good at swimming. I almost drowned just swimming a little outside, even catching a mouthful of rainwater just to breathe. Li Wenxi had just woken up and was holding her body up from the sofa, weakly saying, this event is truly a boon for those good at swimming. There's no boon, it's very dangerous. Zhu Xin recounted his experiences to Li Wenxi, including the underwater whirlpool and the blood-striped marlin. He told Li Wenxi that the blood-striped marlin was much stronger than the ordinary mutant beasts they had encountered. Is this a new monster? Li Wenxi was a bit scared, patting her chest. Good thing I didn't swim far. With my swimming skills, encountering a water creature, not to mention mutant beasts, even a big fish that attacks people would be enough to ensure I don't make it back. It's just a pity I can't get the new resources. Zhu Xin also faintly felt that something was off about this event. The limitations on ability were too severe this time, and if he hadn't coincidentally obtained the scale armor set, he probably would have been stuck in the treehouse for a day, missing out on all those new resources. But he didn't know the reason either, so he could only comfort her. Isn't there still tonight? Maybe there will be new changes tonight, and you can go out. Who knows, I'll take your good wishes. After some formalities, Zhu Xin got to his point. I'd like to trade with you for a blue-level iron block and 5 blue-level stones. Do you have these? Li Wenxi showed a just as I expected expression. I knew you were coming to ask for resources. You never contact me for no reason. Of course, I have those. As long as they're mineral resources, I've got plenty. Zhu Xin laughed awkwardly. Well, isn't that right? With life being so uncertain, who has time for casual chats? I'll trade you with new resources, red wood, which can be used to make furniture and can increase the treehouse decoration level. New resources, huh? That's great. Zhu Xin traded 18 red wood, green, for those 6 blue-level resources. In terms of grade and quantity, it seemed like he made a killing, but redwood is much larger and rarer than regular wood. There's even no current way to obtain it. 18 pieces of redwood are enough for Li Wenxi to make 6 pieces of furniture, equivalent to exchanging 1 piece of furniture for 1 resource. Wow, is 1 piece of redwood this big? Isn't this just a whole tree? Li Wenxi widened her eyes as she looked at the piece of wood in front of her. It takes 3 pieces to make 1 redwood furniture, and the furniture can increase the decoration level, which should allow you to unlock the decoration level option. Zhu Xin explained, and also gave her 6 different colored green grade crystals. These can also increase the decoration level. This is the crystal you mentioned. It's indeed beautiful. Li Wenxi seemed to really like shiny things, holding on to the crystal affectionately. Oh right, don't make duplicate furniture. Duplicates won't increase the decoration level. Oh, okay. After hanging up the video, Zhu Xin immediately crafted the blue-grade carving tool set and carving painting workbench. He placed the carving painting workbench in the study instead of on the 2nd floor. He didn't want to sit and carve in the midst of those workstations on the 2nd floor. Moreover, if the furnace was working, the environment on the 2nd floor would become very poor, making it unsuitable for sitting calmly and carving. Taking out a green-grade crystal, Zhu Xin decided to give it a try. Chapter 129 Night changes. This crystal is deep purple, making it easier for Zhu Xin to see and handle for his first attempt. There are 8 different small knives in the carving tool set, and with the artist ability, Zhu Xin easily recognized what each knife was used for. He picked up one of the small knives and began carving into the egg-sized purple crystal. Just carve 1, mmh, let's carve little Keek. Keek actually always follows Zhu Xin around, watching everything he does with curiosity. Every time Zhu Xin conjures up a piece of furniture out of thin air, it lets out a whimper to express its amazement. But now the only reason it's staying close to Zhu Xin is dinner time. It's waiting for Zhu Xin to start dinner. Having been busy all day, Zhu Xin is quite hungry himself, but he's more interested in the carving right now, so he lifts Keek onto the workbench. Sit here and don't move, I'm going to carve an image of you. Whimper? Keek tilted its small head in confusion. Anyway, don't move, it will be done quickly. Once the carving is finished, we'll eat. Zuzin picked up the carving knife and the egg-sized crystal. Whimper. In anticipation of dinner, Keek finds a comfortable position, hugs its big tail to its chest, and lies still. The carving knife in Zuzin's hand was extremely agile. The tip flowed across the purple crystal like moving clouds and water. His hands seemed to have muscle memory, making him quickly immersed in the task. Time ticked away, and the previously motionless Keek began to fidget, feeling hungry and wanting to eat. Whimper. Keek cried out, snapping Zuzin out of his absorbed state. The carving in his hand had taken shape. Keek's appearance could now be recognized. Only some details needed to be handled before completion, so Keek didn't need to model anymore. Zuzin checked the time and let out a sound of surprise. An hour had already passed since he started carving. Outside the treehouse, it had completely darkened, accompanied by the continuous sound of pouring rain and occasional thunder. Yet, the area around the treehouse was bright, with light shining down from above, illuminating a large area nearby. Clearly, the lightning rod on top of his treehouse was still absorbing lightning, emitting light and heat, which made him unaware of the passage of time. Zuzin had never installed torches for nighttime lighting inside the treehouse. One reason is that torches in a wooden treehouse always felt unsafe. Without saltpeter, the inside of the treehouse was already hot. Also, the torchlight could attract powerful beasts he couldn't handle. The third reason was what he was worried about now: such bright light can be seen from very far away at night. Although not reaching floodlight levels, the jungle was relatively flat, and his treehouse tall. This lighting allowed all beasts and survivors within several dozen kilometers to see it without a problem. But for now, it has to stay this way. Although the frequency of lightning strikes has decreased, lightning still fell onto the treehouse every few minutes. The lightning rod couldn't be removed, or the furniture and workbenches inside the treehouse would be randomly damaged. Whimper. Keek cried again but obediently lay still. Zuzin stood up. Let's eat first. This carving felt like it would take another near hour to complete. Unexpectedly, such a small carving takes so much time, hoping it would provide a high decorative value. He handed the half-finished little Keek statue to Keek and carried Keek out of the study. Silver King and Mimi eat a lot at one time, and once finished, they don't need food for a day or even several days. So they weren't as hungry as Keek, just seemed a bit bored. Mimi pawed at the window looking out, while Silver King curled up and slept in the corner. Zuzin stir-fried a dish with mutant beast meat, during which Keek was curiously fiddling with this miniature half-finished version of itself. The small carving was still just a half-finished product, and it hadn't triggered a prompt for increased decorative value. It seemed it needed to be completely finished. Being his first carving, he had no idea what extent counted as completely carved to increase the treehouse's decorative value. As Zuzin pondered this, preparing to eat while serving the dish, a bat's shriek suddenly came from below the treehouse. This shriek was intermixed with brain-affecting ultrasound, causing Zuzin to frown. He immediately put down his chopsticks and rushed to the window in 2 steps. Whimper whimper. Keek, who was ready to eat, abruptly stopped its actions, looking at Zuzin's back in a daze. Zuzin had previously told bats to make a noise to alert him if anything occurred. Clearly, something was up outside now. Could the light from the lightning rod have really attracted creatures from the surroundings? He looked out the window, and what was happening outside the treehouse made his eyes widen. From what was previously an almost endless water surface, treetops sprouted. The small trees, originally only 3 to 4 meters high underwater, were rapidly growing. He raised his hand and glanced at his watch. It was just past 7 in the evening. Clusters of treetops had already emerged from underwater, continued growing taller. Within just a few dozen seconds, these trees had grown to about 10 meters in height. All the treetops linked into a piece, blocking Zuzin's view. The surroundings no longer had the sound of rain falling on the water but the crackling sound of raindrops hitting the leaves. In less than a minute, the view outside the window completely returned to the jungle as it was before the wildfire. A vast, intact forest. Looking down at the water beneath the treehouse, illuminated by the lightning rod, Zuzin could clearly see that even shrubs and grass had started growing beneath the water. Gazing into the distance, the area that was once a vast ocean was now covered by a jungle. If not for the 5 or 6 meter high water level under the treehouse, just by looking at the distance, Zuzin might have thought the jungle had fully restored to normal. He could even see several spots within his field of vision emitting a blue glow. A new blue resource was born. This. In the middle of the night, with the rainy season still not over, these trees started growing again and fully matured. Could this be part of the rainy season activities? Thoughts racing, Zuzin suddenly understood the changes that the tree growth at this time would bring. It's time to help those who haven't ventured out to explore. Zuzin sent a message in the Explorer group chat. Have you noticed the changes outside the treehouse? Those clusters of small trees have already fully grown, the jungle has basically recovered. Of course, The water level hasn't dropped. Those who were hesitant to explore far away from the treehouse because of poor swimming skills, now that there are so many trees to hold on to, you can climb up if there's danger in the water. You can go out and explore now. Outside, there are many new resources, some ornamental fish in the water, crystals at the bottom, and possibly redwood floating on the surface. These are all related to the new attribute of the treehouse, decorative level. Although the jungle had returned, the area around Zuzin's treehouse already looked quite normal, but those tornadoes in the distance hadn't stopped. However, Zuzin felt they seemed to have shrunk significantly, gradually disappearing. Zuzin hesitated for a moment, deciding to share some of his information. There's a water vortex under the tornadoes that can be entered, but you must be careful. On my side, there's a mutated marlin that's much stronger than ordinary mutated beasts guarding it. If you don't have the strength to kill it, don't approach the tornadoes. His message had a response within seconds. Wang Lei, whoa. Boss Zhu, if you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have realized, the outside really turned back into a jungle. That's great, I'll head out now, swimming farther poses no problem now. Cheeks Fi, thanks, I'll go take a look too. Li Wenxi, oh my, the jungle is back, I can finally go out. New resources, here I come. The three of them only sent one message each and said no more. It seemed they were eager to go out after being cooped up in the treehouse, eager to find some new resources. Suddenly, Qin Yanlong, who hadn't spoken since the activities began, showed up. Qin Yanlong, there's a mutated swordfish on my side, it's too fast and very dangerous in the water, but it only moves near the water vortex. Once I'm far enough, it doesn't chase anymore. I can't face it directly. Zuzin, how did you kill your marlin? Zuzin shared his method with him, and Qin Yanlong thanked him and went to try using Zuzin's method to hunt the swordfish on his side. Zuzin's method had a restriction: one's swimming skills must be very good. Fast enough to dodge attacks while harming the marlin, and luring the marlin to the treehouse. Most people now couldn't even see clearly underwater, let alone accomplish this. But Qin Yanlong might be able to do it. When Gaixin and Zhao Ziyuan, who hadn't appeared all day, also popped up. Zhao Ziyuan, what? Boss Zhu actually killed that fish over there. My goodness, that's too strong, I had to dodge it everywhere just to pick up some materials. If it weren't for that thing being confined to the area near the tornado, I might have been doomed. The gap is too wide. When Gaixin, so what, I also killed that fish, I just didn't know the water vortex underneath was enterable. Zuzin, you wouldn't be tricking us, right? Thanks a lot. Zuzin, the vortex doesn't have water, just a bit cold. There's a small box with resources on my side, and there's a floating mini vortex. If you attack it, you can make the tornado disappear. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Boss Zhu. The two of them didn't ask much more, thanked him, and stopped talking. Not sure how Jiqiang is doing over there, he's not much worse than me. Although Zuzin is the first person to destroy a tornado, he felt Jiqiang should be able to do it too. His communication with Jiqiang still stopped at the sentence he asked about the situation in the morning, and the other party hadn't responded until now. Zuzin returned to the dinner table, where Keek, who had been sitting there waiting for him, immediately cried out weep weep weep, seemingly complaining to Zuzin that it was starving. Zuzin handed Keek a pair of chopsticks into its little paws, and Keek immediately started eating. It was getting more skillful at using chopsticks. After filling its tummy, Keek lay contentedly on the sofa, occasionally letting out a burp. Zuzin was about to continue working on his little Keek carving when Jiqiang suddenly replied to him. Just saw your message. You were the first person to dispose of a tornado, weren't you, Zuzin? Oh? It seems Jiqiang really managed to do it, and his side had a ranking as well. Judging by his tone, could it be that he's second? Chapter 130, The Secret Buried in the Dungeon. Since Jiqiang asked this, he must be the second person to eliminate the tornado. The mysterious voice said that Zuzin was the first among this batch of survivors to eliminate the tornado. When the underground secret was discovered earlier, it also said something similar, this batch of survivors. Last time, Zuzin thought it meant this batch of survivors in Jungle 188 district, but based on what the Changyan family told him, he had already encountered 5 batches of survivors. Every 12 years, a new batch arrives in this world. So without a doubt, the first this time is not the first in the entire district, but among all survivors this time. If Jiqiang is the second, then Jungle 188 district is quite impressive, managing to secure first and second place among hundreds of districts. It seems the two of them are prominent figures in any district. Zuzin replied, it was indeed me. Are you the second? Jiqiang, that's right, that voice told me I was the second person in this batch of survivors to eliminate the tornado. As expected. Jiqiang, did you return to the treehouse? Should we exchange information through voice chat? Zhu Xin, okay. When the voice chat connected, Zhu Xin could hear Ji Qiang slightly heavy breathing from the other end. He was a little puzzled. What happened to you? Ji Qiang smiled wryly. It's nothing serious. On my way back, I found an ornamental fish near the treehouse. It swam exceptionally fast, and I couldn't catch it. I just returned now. Couldn't catch it? Zhu Xin blinked. The ornamental fish on his side would come to him as soon as they saw him, letting him grab them without resistance. Why did Ji Qiang need to struggle to catch them on his side? Is it really the deterrent effect of his outfit? That doesn't seem right. Whether it's the colorful scale fish or the Taiji fish, after seeing him, they circle around him and don't seem frightened by intimidation. Instead, it's as if they're being drawn in by something. He used to think these ornamental fish were easy resources to capture. Since you know they're ornamental fish, you must have caught quite a few, right? Are they that hard to catch? I feel like it's not that bad on my side, Zhu Xin probed. Not a lot. I've caught 3 green-level fish here. They don't swim fast, and they're not very alert. Just slowly approach and surprise them. You caught them the same way, right? More or less. So, I suspect the fast-swimming one is a blue-level ornamental fish. New blue-level resources are very precious, which is why I kept chasing it. Unfortunately, despite trying many methods, I couldn't catch it, and it eventually swam out of the protected area, Ji Qiang said regretfully. It seems these fish do indeed flee. When Li Wenxi and the others return, he would ask them. If they encountered the same situation, it would indicate that the fish weren't special, but he himself was special. As for how he was special, Zhu Xin didn't know. Maybe it was the scale armor suit, or perhaps it was due to his creator privileges. A blue-level ornamental fish? That's indeed a pity. Zhu Xin also felt regret for Ji Qiang. He was very curious about the other functions of blue-level ornamental fish. Let's not talk about that anymore. On the other side of the call came the damp sound of clothes contacting something, suggesting Ji Qiang sat down. Let's exchange information, Zhu Xin. I've seen what you posted in the group, and actually, my experience is quite similar to yours. I've said everything in the group, there's nothing more to add, right? Zhu Xin said, not wanting to reveal his abilities to others just yet, not even understanding the value of the artist himself. No, it's not about this rainstorm season activity, it's about the previous dungeon activity. Ji Qiang's voice turned heavy. Dungeon activity? Zhu Xin's heart sank. His experiences in the dungeon differed completely from the others, which is why he hadn't participated much in other discussions. When Ji Qiang mentioned the dungeon, Zhu Xin suddenly realized that Ji Qiang might be similar to him. Apart from clearing the dungeon in less than an hour at the start and posting a dungeon guide in the district channel, Ji Qiang stopped participating in discussions. Until the dungeon event concluded, he hadn't said a word in Explorers. Zhu Xin separated from the Changyin family just before the activity ended, his focus primarily on them, hence not paying much attention to what the other members of Explorers were doing. Thinking about it now, perhaps he also encountered something unusual? I always thought there would be quite a few people discovering the hidden information within the dungeon, but to my surprise, after coming out, there was no discussion in the district channel. Hidden information within the dungeon? Zhu Xin slightly narrowed his eyes. The information he knew, and the information he had acquired, were they the same? I've been contemplating whether to tell you about this for the past few days, and it was only because you were the first again this time that I finally made up my mind. Ji Qiang began narrating his encounters within the dungeon. His dungeon was no different from others, a long, dark corridor, dozens of dilapidated wooden doors, and the simple choice between mutated beasts, mechanisms, and treasures. He had actually obtained all the treasures long ago but hadn't rushed to leave the dungeon. He carefully checked each room again, and finally, in an ordinary stone chamber, discovered a well-hidden mechanism. After pressing it, a hidden passage appeared. He followed the passage and eventually reached another stone chamber. Like the outside, the chamber was damp and filled with a musty smell, except its walls were covered with densely engraved text. Engraved text? Zhu Xin thought of the engravings on the stone table by the Changyin family, but it shouldn't be related. That's right, Ji Qiang said. The words engraved on the wall were from Earth, comprising several languages, including Chinese characters. Although he could only understand the Chinese part, the secrets hidden in these words had already left him deeply shocked. Ji Qiang shared his deductions with Zhu Xin. You're saying we're not just surviving but participating in a brutal selection process? Zhu Xin's gaze sharpened. That's right, the words engraved on the wall indicate that those who etched these words were the losers of this selection. The dungeon we entered was originally used to detain the losers. The information on the wall was fragmented, and Ji Qiang summarized all the fragments to arrive at this conclusion. Detain the losers. Simply detain? Many people have been sent into that stone chamber and inscribed text there, But it seems these losers didn't know what they were about to face when sent into that room. Are you really sure? Is there any mention in those messages about how many people are selected or for what purpose? Zhu Xin had actually suspected it for a long time. Since this world's activities had an elimination mechanism, it was likely a selection of survivors, otherwise, they wouldn't use the method of elimination at the end to force all survivors to act. After all, some don't know their own strength until pushed. But speculation and facts are two different things. Selection is far more brutal than just a survival game. In survival games, if cooperation is possible, people can stick together and strive to survive. As long as there's a good development, aside from not seeing past loved ones, there's not much difference. At worst, they can build a human civilization in this world. But if it's a brutal selection, it's entirely different. Because any selection has limited spaces. If only one survivor is selected from each group. If that's the case, then even Ji Qiang on the other end of the voice might be an enemy. I'm not sure about that. Many survivors who've left messages in that room were as clueless as us, with only a few revealing these things. They seem to have survived in this world for a long time before being eliminated. Among the wall's text were phrases like "I failed, it seems I wasn't destined to be among the last, and I can't believe we lost to that group, I'm not reconciled," etc. Zhu Xin's furrowed brow relaxed. Among the last? That group? So, those who make it to the end, it's a group of people? Ji Qiang's voice wasn't as heavy anymore. He laughed. At least it's not just one person, otherwise, do you think I'd share this information with you? You've always been above me, and if there really was only one left in the end, you would be my biggest threat. Not stabbing you in the back would be considered merciful. Zhu Xin laughed too. Do you have to be so sincere? Ji Qiang's voice became serious again. So, Zhu Xin, let's truly cooperate. According to the information I've obtained, in our group, only a small portion will likely make it to the end. You and I are number 1 and 2 among everyone. As long as we cooperate, the chances of surviving till the end are very high. Zhu Xin was naturally willing to cooperate with Ji Qiang, jokingly saying, "It'd be great if we could sign a contract, that way I wouldn't have to fear you actually stabbing me. Maybe there will be such contracts in the future?" Ji Qiang quipped back, and then said seriously, "This time, I'm talking about cooperation, not just an alliance of interests." "I understand what you mean," Zhu Xin said. "You want us to form a collective force against external threats, right? If this survival game is indeed a selection, then apart from those mutated monsters above and below ground, other survivors also pose a significant threat. Talking to smart people is easy." For now, Zhu Xin chose to trust Ji Qiang, as cooperation with a strong individual was something he urgently needed. Thus, Zhu Xin told Ji Qiang about what he knew, including his experiences in the dungeon. Of course, he concealed the fact that the Changyan family had a good relationship with him and were brought out by him, only telling him that he learned from the statue's mouth about the original state of this world and informed him that 50 years ago, this world wasn't much different from theirs. He also found out that they were the 5th group of survivors to arrive here. After hearing this news, Ji Qiang on the other end of the voice contemplated for a long time. Zhu Xin didn't interrupt his thinking, while he himself was also in deep thought. If the dungeon really was a place to detain losers, then where did these losers come from? Chapter 131, End of the rainy season. Most of the survivors met their end during the activities, and it's already quite clear who the surviving failures are. During the exploration and hunting activities, those who were eliminated at the bottom, and during the dungeon activities, those who failed to find the dungeon entrance, were not eliminated due to death. Could it be that these people didn't die directly, but instead entered the dungeons? That mysterious voice had said more than once that they would leave this beautiful world forever, yet the dungeons still exist in this world. If those in the dungeons are indeed them, what kind of experiences would they have there? Would they face immediate death, or leave this beautiful world to enter another world? If beautiful world is not irony but fact, what kind of world would be more terrible than this one? Zhu Xin felt his mind was a bit overloaded, and he didn't want to think about these things anymore as they didn't hold much significance for his current survival. Zhu Xin, what do you think those who destroyed civilization in this world, transformed it into an experimental ground, and threw us in for selection, really want to achieve? Ji Qiang murmured. Selection. When he first arrived in this world, seeing that the survivors were all between 18 and 30 years old, he thought it was rather merciful, but now it seemed more like they wanted batches of young adults, suitable for their purposes. His initial thoughts were quite laughable. How would I know? It's too far away from us now. Thinking too much about it is pointless. Right now, I'm more interested in what you got from the whirlwind. Zhu Xin brought the conversation to a halt, fearing his survival mindset was fading. Artist contract? Ji Qiang also regained his composure and asked. Same as mine. Zhu Xin shrugged. Apparently, There was no surprise. This decorative item should be useful in the next stage. We should quickly enhance the decoration of the treehouse. Ji Qiang suggested. Alright, by the way, see if you can spot any bright areas in the distance? Zhu Xin wanted to know if the lightning rod on top of his treehouse could be seen by other survivors. I can see 2 brighter areas. Although it's raining heavily, after dark, the light is quite obvious. I'm curious too, do you know what's emitting the light? 2? Zhu Xin pondered for a moment and immediately understood. It was Li Winxi. Li Winxi also has a lightning rod, and it's glowing. Oh, I'm not sure either. I can see it from here, and I'm wondering what it is too. Zhu Xin decided not to mention the lightning rod just yet. Whether or not to tell them depended on Li Winxi's decision, and revealing his location wasn't advisable now. Alright then. Let's leave it at that for now. After the second phase starts, we can discuss cooperation strategies based on the situation. Both of them were too shocked by the information discovered in the dungeons. They didn't pay much attention to this rainy season, exchanged a few brief words, and ended their conversation. Zhu Xin went to the 4th floor and looked out from each direction's window. Finally, in the northeast direction of the treehouse, opposite the whirlwind, amidst the consistently falling rain, and through the gaps of several twisters of varying distances, he saw a light below the horizon. Since Zhu Xin's surroundings were already bright, he hadn't noticed the light there before. That must be the direction of Li Winxi's treehouse. Below the horizon. Zhu Xin calculated in his mind. Planets are spherical. Places too far away would be below the horizon and invisible. Given the height of his treehouse's 4th floor, the visible range was about 15 kilometers. Adding the height of Li Winxi's treehouse, if he could just see the light of the lightning rod, the distance between them would be around 25 to 30 kilometers. He couldn't see the light point itself but saw the glow from there. So the distance between Li Winxi's treehouse and his should be over 30 kilometers, but not much farther. Of course, this calculation assumes this world's size is similar to Earth's. However, with similar gravity, air composition, and species to Earth, it's almost like a second Earth, and it seems reasonable to assume the sizes are about the same. If Ji Qiang could see lights at 2 locations, he wasn't too far from Zhu Xin and Li Winxi. The distance between the 3 of them is likely within 50 kilometers. If the reserves join up in the future, Zhu Xin could reach their location within an hour on the Silver King. They are all from the same area, and being close is normal, which will be advantageous for potential cooperation. Returning to the 3rd floor of the treehouse, Zhu Xin gently stroked the head of the napping Keek on the sofa. He decided to finish his mini-carving project with Keek first. In the study, he picked up the carving knife again, took a deep breath, and set aside recent events, immersing himself once more in the art of carving. After an unknown amount of time, when he finally made the last cut, Zhu Xin awoke from his absorbed state. Looking at the lifelike little carving in his hand, he felt a sense of achievement rising in his heart, and nodded in satisfaction. Aside from the difference in color, it was a scaled-down version of Keek, posed just like Keek before, lying curled with its tail. Even the fluffiness of the tail was captured perfectly, giving off the illusion of softness. He couldn't believe that his first attempt at carving resulted in such a perfect masterpiece. Detected a red panda amethyst carving, green, in the treehouse. Treehouse decoration points plus 10, current decoration points, 96.4. The sudden notification sound made Zhu Xin's somewhat weary eyes open, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. A green level carving could add 10 decoration points. To know, all the green crystals combined can only add 6 decoration points, and even the purple level crystals can only add 5 decoration points. The purple crystal, green, itself can only add 1 decoration point, yet after being carved into a statue, its value has directly increased tenfold. Originally, he carved this little thing just for practice, but he didn't expect the decoration points to almost match that tank of colorful scale fish. Moreover, this casually carved item even has its own name, called Little Red Panda Purple Crystal Carving, instead of simply Purple Crystal Carving. This is a point that cannot be overlooked. It indicates that all statues are unique, as long as the shape he carves is different, it's not the same material. This way, each statue can increase the decoration points of the treehouse. He finally found a method to greatly increase the decoration points of the treehouse without limitation. But the disadvantage is also obvious. Zhu Xin raised his hand and glanced at his watch. Another hour had passed. It took a whole 2 hours to carve a small statue. Immersed in the process of carving, he didn't feel it, but once the carving ended, he could clearly feel the mental exhaustion. He felt as if he could fall asleep the moment he lay down. If he didn't use the blue level oranges, he might only be able to carve 1 statue in a day, and after carving, his entire mental state would be directly weakened, requiring immediate rest. Is this limiting the number of carvings he can do? Rubbing his slightly sleepy eyes, Zuzin decided not to eat the oranges to replenish his energy for now. The orange tree in the jungle was already burned down, and now his only source of blue oranges was the one on the top floor that hadn't matured yet. He wasn't sure what kind of new blue resources the jungle had, so he decided to save the oranges for critical moments and not consume them for now. Just go to sleep directly. Zuzin rubbed his somewhat congested nose and blew it. It was probably due to being soaked to the bone while in the eye of the storm. He now had slight signs of catching a cold. He took out the ordinary pill, green, given by Chig's Fi. Now that there's nothing going on, and the treehouse isn't in any danger, even if there were, Silver King and Keek are here, so he wanted to try the effects of this pill. Once he put the pill in his mouth, it dissolved into a clear stream that flowed into his stomach. Zuzin felt his body warm up slightly, and then his previously congested nose instantly became clear. But with it came the pill's side effects. Zuzin felt weak in his limbs. He felt that now he could barely stand on the ground, and his legs were shaking terribly. He tried to take a couple of steps and nearly kneeled on the ground. This side effect is terrifying, like the legendary 10 fragrant paralysis powder. In the future, when consuming something with such debilitating side effects, he must find a very, very safe place. In his current state, even Keek could easily scratch his face. Returning to the bedroom, Zuzin collapsed directly onto the bed, almost crushing Keek, who had somehow already come over to sleep. So hot. With the last bit of strength, Zuzin tossed a piece of nitrate into the water basin he used last time in the bedroom, feeling the cool uncomfortable air, and closed his eyes, drifting off to dreamland. He was woken up by the furry touch on his face and a mysterious voice. Rainstorm season activity is over. Congratulations to all the survivors who endured the rainstorm. You have obtained a ticket to enter the second stage. The special ranking list for this event will be announced soon. Let's congratulate the survivors who have reaped a bountiful harvest in this rainstorm season. Special rewards will be given to everyone on the list. The rainstorm has receded. Survivors, let your hair down and celebrate. Tomorrow at 9:00, the second stage of the treehouse will begin. Survivors, look forward to it. Zuzin pushed Keek, who had somehow crawled onto his face, to the side. Outside, the sky had cleared, and sunlight poured in through the windows, illuminating his face, waking him up quite a bit. Getting up and walking to the window, Zuzin looked outside and couldn't help but show a reassuring smile. The water outside was already receding slowly. At this rate, in less than half an hour, the jungle would return to its original appearance. Chapter 132 Multi-area rankings. Outside the window, the sky is clear, and trees stand tall, with birds flitting and chirping among the woods. If you only look at this scene of thriving life, it's impossible to imagine that just yesterday, this forest experienced several catastrophic natural disasters. Under thunderstorms, it was burned to ashes, downpours turned the land into a vast ocean, and countless tornadoes raged. A little bird landed on a branch outside the treehouse window, chirping clearly. Zuzin was no longer surprised by these suddenly appearing birds. After surviving yesterday's thunderstorms, fires, rains, and forest regeneration, he could accept anything happening in this world. However, he checked his map. Currently, there were no red blips. Only 2 blue blips in the treehouse, representing Silver King and Mimi. This means that, for now, there aren't any beasts around him. While exploring yesterday, he didn't see many beast corpses. Even after the tornado stopped and all resources were flung out, there still weren't many. Including a few that fell and smashed in the eye of the storm, he had seen only about 20 corpses, all non-aggressive herbivores like wild deer. So where did the beasts in the forest go? Could it be like during the newbie protection period when they mysteriously disappeared? Zuzin walked from the bedroom to the living room. Silver King was still sleeping, and Mimi was awakened by his footsteps, only glancing at Zuzin before ignoring him and going back to sleep. Since when did these two develop the habit of sleeping in? Standing in front of the screen, Zuzin clicked on the leaderboard option. A new sub-option appeared, Rainy Season. After opening it, a leaderboard appeared, with Zuzin's name prominently at the top, ranked first, labeled with Forest Zone 188. The entire board had only over 50 names, mostly ones Zuzin had never seen, marked with different zones from his own. Zones like Forest Zone 154, Forest Zone 1, Forest Zone 56, etc., but all were forest zones without exception. This is not a zone ranking. A leaderboard with other zones mixed in appeared. Zuzin immediately opened the previous event leaderboard. The previous leaderboard hadn't changed, only this leaderboard included people from other zones. Even with other zones included, only 54 people made it onto this special leaderboard. In Forest Zone 188, only 2 people were on it. Besides Zuzin ranked first, Jikayang was second. All others were from other zones. It seems Zuzin and Jikayang are truly strong. Among hundreds of zones, only 54 people made it onto the leaderboard, showing that many zones didn't have anyone make it. Not only did they have 2 spots, but they were first and second. But what criteria does this leaderboard use to rank? Perhaps the order of eliminating tornadoes? Very likely. The appearance of a mixed leaderboard may indicate that communication and trade outside the zone might open up. It's necessary to prepare in advance. Currently, there weren't any rewards to claim, so Zuzin opened the regional channel. When the rain started, the region had over 3,800 people, about 2,000 with only single-story tree houses. Now, the number had dropped to 3,154. Over 700 didn't survive the rain and perished. It's possible they drowned or were struck by lightning. Single-story tree houses weren't tall enough, but with no other trees around at that time, even a tip sticking out of the water posed a risk of being struck. Those who endured a day and night of rain would likely be seriously ill, with some facing dire consequences. Oh my god. I finally got back to my treehouse. After being drenched for a day and night, I feel like I can't take it anymore. The water level has finally receded, but why is there so much water accumulated in the treehouse? What should I do? Scoop it out. Control the treehouse exit to drain water, idiot. People usually crawl out, who would have thought? Ugh, stayed on the second floor of the treehouse for a day, couldn't do anything, so boring, finally can chat with everyone now. Indeed, the thunder outside was so loud, gave me a headache, couldn't sleep well. I feel weak all over, so cold. Holy crap, did you see the leaderboard? This time the leaderboard includes other zones, but Boss Zoo and Boss G are still ranked first and second. Meaning, they're not just first and second in our zone, but the entire server. No way. The ultimate bosses are right beside us. Seeing this, Boss G is really pitiful. He could have ranked first in any other district, but unfortunately, both Boss Zoo and he are in our district, so tragic. Why must there be a zoo when there's a yang? Everyone, does anyone have medicine to cure diseases? I really can't take it anymore. I feel like if I fall asleep, I won't wake up. Shout it with me, Jungle 188 Nambo Wan. Jungle 188 Nambo Wan. Zuzin Nambo Wan. Jikayang Nambo Rabbit. These people with 2-level treehouses have basically stayed in their treehouses for a day and night doing nothing, feeling almost idle to the point of breakdown. As the water recedes, they've all come to the district channel to vent. But those who've been lying on the roof of their treehouse getting drenched by the rain for a day and night are probably really on the brink. Within the explorers, the discussion is lively. After all, both leading figures of the district rankings are part of the explorers organization. Zhao Zixuan, congratulations to Boss Zoo and Boss G for claiming the top 2 rankings of the server. That's too powerful. Wen Geixen, why am I not included? I also destroyed a tornado. Zhu Xin, perhaps because you eliminated it at night, and after nighttime, the exploration difficulty greatly reduced, so maybe it didn't count for the ranking. Wen Geixen. I feel terribly cheated. I had already dealt with that monster, but who knew we had to enter the underwater vortex? Would a normal person think of going inside such a terrifying dragon's belly? Wang Lei, how did you manage to kill that terrifying monster? I went out last night, and just hiding from that octopus took up a good half of my time. It was utterly disgusting. Wen Geixen, turns out you encountered an octopus. I just killed it in a simple way. Wang Lei, Li Wenxi, I was alright on my side. Zhu Xin had already told me how strong this kind of monster is, so I spent the whole time avoiding it while picking up resources without disturbing it. Wang Lei, Boss Zhu actually gives special treatment to the beauty. I'm jealous. I also wish for Boss Zhu's special treatment. Cheegsfy, what new resources have you all picked up? I found lots of crystals and redwood here. Seeing Cheegsfy speaking, Zhu Xin suddenly remembered that she has medicine that can cure diseases. He just checked the trading platform but didn't see any such medicine, whereas someone in the district channel found a previous record and learned that, suspending the pot to nourish all, has the right medicine, begging them to sell it. Zhu Xin directly asked, why aren't your medicines being sold now? Isn't this the perfect opportunity to test your product functions? Cheegsfy, I actually thought about it this way, stronger medicines have already been made, and I wanted to sell these low-level medicines at a low price because they're life-saving. But Zijuan disagrees. He says these people's treehouses have been flooded, they have nothing and are broke, selling to them is like giving away for free, and the cost can't be recovered. Classic capitalist thinking. Zhu Xin, making medicine is your ability, right? Cheegsfy. Yeah, it's my ability, but Zijuan is coordinating things over there now, it's not really appropriate for me to make decisions on my own. Zhu Xin, actually, You can sell now. You've made advanced medicine, and these low-level medicines won't have much market here, they can only be sold to them. GKing, that's right, the most important thing is that selling at a low price now is like providing crucial help. You are saving lives amidst disaster, and even if you haven't helped someone, others will have a favorable impression of your organization. Now is the best time to establish your reputation. Zhu Xin, also, rankings are no longer confined to a single district. There might soon be a world channel and world trading platform, and then these people will be your free marketing materials. The two echoed each other, speaking with sound logic. However, they also understood what the other was thinking. Both had thought of what was discussed before. They are likely participating in a selection process, and ultimately, only a few can stand out, so it's necessary to form a unified organization. The mysterious voice has repeatedly warned them not to abandon their small treehouse, so everyone's position is essentially fixed. Estimating the distance between tornadoes in the stormy season, it's visible that every 10 kilometers or so, there's a massive tornado soaring to the sky, which means if each tornado falls within the treehouse range, the distance between treehouses is approximately 10 kilometers. If the protective range of the treehouses keeps expanding, some nearby ones will have overlapping and connected protective zones, allowing survivors to step directly from their protective zone onto others. With such cases increasing, the entire world might become interconnected. This is probably the premise and key to meeting other people. Everyone's base is fixed, so if they want to form a truly cohesive organization, those closer within the same district are more suitable than those from other districts. The more people, the stronger the power and the greater the selection range. Moreover, perhaps the initial partitioning wasn't simple. What if in the future, they encounter monsters that require the collective power of the entire district to defend against, or wars between districts? They mustn't let them die, at least not before the truth is discerned. They must save as many as they can. Chapter 133, Exploring the New Jungle. Zhu Xin directly sent a private message to GKing. How about we buy it directly from Chig's-Fi and then sell it under the name of Explorer? GKing immediately replied, good idea, but you have to persuade her to sell us a large quantity, and we'll probably suffer a small loss since the price she sells to us won't be low. Then, Chig's-Fi, who had been silent for a long time, spoke. I'll try to convince my brother. Zhu Xin sent a private message to Chig's-Fi, if your brother disagrees, you can sell the remaining low-grade medicines to me, and I'll give you a reasonable price. Although Zhu Xin didn't have many resources, he had things that others didn't have, such as advanced weapons, black gold lightning rods, and statues, all of which could be used for trade. Chig's-Fi. No need, I think you're right, this matter is more beneficial than harmful, and moreover. The other side remained silent for a long time before responding. As a descendant of a medical family, I believe saving lives is paramount. If one has the ability, seeing someone die just to gain a bit more profit. I know this world is dangerous and one shouldn't have too much sympathy, but I really can't do it. If Zixuan insists on disagreeing. I'm also a member of Explorer, and I will sell these medicines at a low price under Explorer's name. It's me who has the ability to make the medicines, and I have the right to dispose of these low-grade medicines. Amazing, worthy of the heirs of a traditional Chinese medicine family, really quite the spirit of healing the world. If she could sell these medicines under the name of Explorer, that would be the best outcome. Zixuan, don't give in, keep being stubborn. Zhu Xin pondered for a long time before replying, alright. If you plan to sell under the name of Explorer, inform GKing and me in advance, and we'll create some momentum for you. Decide quickly, those people can't hold out for long. Alright. After solving these issues, Zhu Xin moved his gaze away from the screen and found Keek, who had somehow come to his feet. Keek rubbed her eyes, seemingly just waking up. She looked up at Zhu Xin as if she was asking where breakfast was. Silver King and Mimi also got up and walked to Zhu Xin's side. After casually eating some breakfast, he eagerly looked outside the treehouse. Sure enough, the water level in the jungle had completely receded by now, except for the muddy ground. It had fully returned to its original jungle appearance. Finally, he can stand in the jungle again. Looking around, Zhu Xin searched for the location of the blue-level resources, ready to harvest them directly after heading down. But when he looked northwest, his pupil shrank and he took a deep breath. The disappearing hills had reappeared. The hills that had disappeared during the rainy season were now steadily located 3 kilometers northwest. The hills had dense vegetation as if completely unaffected by the rainy season. The hills unknown from what point in time had returned. Disappearing during the rainy season and reappearing afterward, most importantly, the vegetation on the hills remained completely unchanged. Ever since coming to this world, Zhu Xin had often observed the distant hills from this direction, and he was very familiar with those few trees' positions on the hills. Now that position hasn't changed at all, even the growth direction hasn't altered, still growing crookedly on the hills. He could almost be certain that the hills not only weren't there during the rain but probably had disappeared during the earlier thunderstorms too. Otherwise, how could the trees on the hills have escaped unscathed? They were much higher than the trees below the hills, practically acting as lightning rods. Honestly, if unnecessary, Zuzin really didn't want to go there again. But there's a shrine there that can summon intermediate mutant beasts. If Zuzin needed points, materials, or contaminated meat, the shrine would be the fastest and most direct way. Just don't forget to return the shrine knife, and the blood pattern giant shouldn't appear. Never mind that place for now, let's inventory the new resources in this resource area. Let's go, Keek, Silver King, Mimi, we're heading down. Zuzin called to the three animals. Keek skillfully climbed onto Zuzin's shoulder, and the person along with the three animals went to the ground from the treehouse. The ground beneath the treehouse, although now overgrown with wild grass after being submerged for a long time, still felt somewhat muddy when stepped on. As soon as Zuzin got down, he saw two large fish bouncing on the ground not far in the forest. These fish are really dumb. Can't they swim back to the lake in advance? Zuzin walked up and looked at the two fish on the ground. They were indeed the fish from the lake before, but the size. How is it so exaggerated? It was Zuzin's first time seeing carp over a meter long. Carp belong to a species with long lifespans, and their natural lifespan can reach over 100 years. So carp can grow over a meter long, and carp that are over 10 years old growing to 1 to 1.5 meters long is quite normal. But there absolutely weren't such long fish in the original lake, at most only 30 centimeters in length. This means that these two carp have grown from at most about 30 centimeters in length to over a meter within 2 days, and the reason might be the blood staining the lake water during the battle between the giant python and giant crocodile. Could it be due to this rain? The plants grew rapidly, and the fish also grew quickly? Zuzin took out a spear and swiftly took out one of the big carp. The other one calmed down at his approach but started frantically struggling on the ground due to his actions, bouncing towards the lake. Is it that clever, with such a drastic difference in the carp's behavior? Could it understand his actions? And beside him, Mimi could hardly contain herself, poised in a tiger-like pounce, ready to take down the carp. Wait, Mimi. Zuzin suddenly had a flash of inspiration and stopped Mimi's actions, then shouted at the fish on the ground, if you don't want to die, lie still on the ground. After saying it, he felt a bit embarrassed himself. How did he think of talking to a carp? But the result made him widen his eyes. The carp, which had been struggling desperately to escape, actually obediently lay still after hearing Zuzin's shout, only its mouth and gills slightly moving. It could actually understand Zuzin's words. Have all the animals in this world gone to school? How can they all understand human speech? Zuzin didn't believe it, so he said another sentence to the carp, if you want to live, jump once. As a result, the carp really jumped, even jumping towards the direction of the lake. Ying! Keek also cried out in surprise, jumped down from Zuzin's shoulder, ran to the side of the carp, and patted the carp's body with its small paws. The carp's body jumped slightly, its tail wagged, wanting to give Keek a slap with its tail, but seemed to be afraid of the nearby Mimi who was staring intently at it, as well as the Silver King who was always watching it, and finally obediently lay back on the ground. Zuzin first disassembled the dead carp on the ground. To his disappointment, this carp still only provided very ordinary materials upon disassembly, not even blue-level materials, only green-level. Has it not completed evolution? Or is it just purely bigger, just an ordinary carp? With only green-level materials, Zuzin really didn't feel like killing and disassembling anymore, so he waved at the still-alive carp on the ground, indicating it could leave. The carp instantly understood Zuzin's gesture and crazily jumped towards the lake, jumping into the nearby lake after 10 seconds, splashing a ring of water before disappearing. This carp absolutely underwent mutation, not just in size but even its intelligence increased. Keek, Mimi, and Silver King could understand his words, which he actually understood since they are higher-level mammals. Speaking of high-intelligence creatures in the water, one naturally first thinks of whales, especially the dolphins, the sea elves, but whales are not fish, they're mammals. The intelligence of ordinary fish is generally very low. Many stories jokingly claim fish have only 7-second memories, which of course isn't exaggerated like that, but their intelligence isn't that high either. A fish that can understand Zuzin's words and react is indeed too unusual, making Zuzin wonder if the blood of the giant crocodile and giant anaconda could enhance intelligence. An oversight. He should have collected some blood from the giant crocodile back then. Its wound kept bleeding, and not collecting it would be a waste. Speaking of, how is the giant crocodile now? It was still injured the day before the rainy season. However, Zuzin wasn't very worried. There was no tornado in the creek's direction, The giant crocodile originally lived in the water. Plus, those intermediate mutated creatures were just a meal for the giant crocodile. Let's go see it today. But before that, let's first collect the blue level resources around here. There was already a blue level fertile soil under his treehouse, the one used to plant apple trees. He had already transplanted that apple tree to the 4th floor plantation in the treehouse. At the moment, a fully grown blue level poplar tree was growing on this soil. Blue level poplar tree? Zhu Xin raised an eyebrow. Blue level wood is a must-have material for many weapons and tools to reach blue level, the more the better. He chopped down the poplar tree, then rode onto Silver King, with Keek also climbing onto Silver King's back, while Mimi elegantly trotted beside them. Let's go, Silver King, in that direction. Zhu Xin pointed towards the direction of the blue glow several hundred meters away. Silver King suddenly surged in place and sped forward. Mimi followed at the same speed. Zhu Xin felt Silver King's explosive acceleration was clearly faster than before. Is this stronger now? He felt a bit delighted. Silver King and Mimi were just a step away from evolving into intermediate mutated beasts, and Silver King's strengthening indicated it was not far from truly becoming an intermediate mutated beast. All thanks to the radiation stone, the only thing around him that could strengthen Silver King even while staying at home was that radiation stone. In just 10 seconds, Zhu Xin arrived at the site of the new blue level resource. This is a tree Zhu Xin had never seen before. The tree was over 10 meters tall, and he reached out to touch it. Sourwood, blue, requires hundreds of years to mature, and this hastened sourwood possesses even higher quality. Harvesting it yields redwood, blue level redwood. Zhu Xin swung his iron axe to chop it down. Just this one tree yielded only 2 pieces of redwood, blue. 2 pieces, enough to make 2 blue level furniture items. However, redwood can also be carved. Let's save it for now and think about its use later. Zhu Xin then used an iron shovel to dig out the redwood seeds. He planned to plant them in the blue level soil beside his treehouse once he got back. This soil growing blue level redwood was just ordinary green level soil. Naturally, he had already explored around here, so the soil couldn't suddenly become fertile. Zhu Xin continued riding Silver King across the jungle. The map showed no red dots, not even in the lake center, meaning there weren't any beasts around at the moment. Ying. Keek suddenly pointed in a direction. A call indicating good stuff. Zhu Xin immediately urged Silver King towards that direction. Soon, Zhu Xin saw a fish lying dead on the ground. Its body was 3 or 4 meters long, its mouth was very sharp, its eyes bulging, but its body was very flat, the color resembling rock, looking somewhat strange. Is this the fish from the giant cave in the lake center? Chapter 134, The Warmth and Coldness of Human Relationships. Zhu Xin, while diving in the heart of the lake, had only seen this kind of fish in the cave, swimming around at a depth of about 60 meters in the lake's pit. The fish in front of him was already dead, and it seemed like it had been dead for a while, as there were no signs of it having struggled around. Zhu Xin climbed down from the Silver King and took out his boning knife. During the disassembly process, he found that the fish's internal organs were all in a rotted state, seemingly because something had exploded inside leading to its death. Could it be that it surfaced too quickly, and the pressure inside caused its swim bladder to rupture and killed it? Zhu Xin did not stop his actions, swiftly breaking down the entire fish. Obtained 1 piece of green-grade rock-eating fish skin. Obtained 1 piece of green-grade rock-eating fish bone. Obtained 200 kilograms of green-grade rock-eating fish meat. Obtained 1 piece of blue-grade ruptured swim bladder of rock-eating fish. He got a blue-grade resource. Zhu Xin immediately picked up the ruptured swim bladder. At this point, the swim bladder was no longer a sac but a limp membrane. Ruptured swim bladder of rock-eating fish, blue, a regulator used by the rock-eating fish to adjust its depth in the water. After simple processing, it can be consumed, enhancing the ability to withstand pressure in the water. Zhu Xin's eyes widened. Enhancing the ability to withstand pressure in the water was exactly the capability he needed now. Last time he dove, he only reached a depth of about 25 meters, but deeper down, at around 40 meters, he could see many blue-level resources and even some unknown mineral resources. After consuming this swim bladder, if he could dive to a depth of 40 meters, he could obtain those deep-water resources. Not bad at all. Zhu Xin packed the item into his backpack. This was truly a pleasant surprise. The name of this fish was quite interesting, called the rock-eating fish. Could it be that it feeds on rocks? If you don't look closely, its appearance could indeed be mistaken for a large fish statue carved from stone. But how did it surface? Since the swim bladder ruptured, it must have surfaced at extreme speed from deep water, causing pressure imbalance and rupture. But the tornado is far from here and couldn't affect the lake by the treehouse. It couldn't be that the tornado swept it out. There are only 2 possibilities then. One is that something big emerged from the pit in the heart of the lake and accidentally brought this fish out. The other is that there is something terrifying in the heart of the lake, causing this fish to become so scared that it quickly swam upward, ultimately unable to withstand the pressure and burst. Both possibilities point to one creature, the terrifying lake giant python. It seems that even if the ability to resist water pressure is acquired, it's better not to dive into the lake's heart pit for now. There could be great danger there. After exploring the surrounding resources, go find the giant crocodile and see if any information can be gathered about the lake giant python. Mimi seemed to be very interested in the large fish in front of him, constantly flipping the cut fish meat with his paw. Silver King was also staring at the meat. These two have big appetites, and a hasty breakfast didn't fill them up. Alright, it's yours, eat up, Zuzin said helplessly. Now that there are no more beasts in the forest, they can't hunt on their own either. I don't know when the jungle beasts will return. Free roaming is much more worry-free than feeding them like this every meal. Silver King and Kimimi pounced on the meat without hesitation. Ying. Keek, seeing them eating heartily, got greedy too, shaking his clothes with her little paw. Zuzin embraced her, gave her a freshly picked green-grade apple along the way, and took one out for himself to munch on. Just then, his watch vibrated. It was Chig's Fi, and she sent a single message: in 10 minutes, I will sell medicines under the name Explorer. If you want to stir things up, do it quickly, those people can't hold out much longer. Well done, Chiziksuan. Zuzin immediately replied, alright, got it. How many do you have on hand right now? Chig's Fi, enough. Previously, hanging the pot to save the world, used hemostatic herbs cultivated by me to exchange almost all the district's medicinal materials. I have 500 pills in hand, and if there are more materials, they can still be produced. This kind of medicine is low level and can be made as long as the materials can be used medicinally. Cultivating hemostatic herbs. Were those hemostatic herbs really cultivated by her? Zuzin tried digging up green-grade hemostatic herbs with a shovel, but couldn't get seeds. He also looked on the trade platform, but there were no seeds for sale, so the method of cultivating hemostatic herbs remained a mystery. Is she revealing her abilities to me? Although he didn't know how Chig's-Fi had argued with her brother just now, it seemed she had genuinely considered integrating into Explorer. Now, Zuzin immediately contacted Ji Qiang and informed him about Chig's-Fi's plan to sell pills. Ji Qiang was visibly surprised and delighted, and the two discussed with Chig's-Fi briefly before announcing it on the regional channel. Zuzin, everyone, in order to help survivors who have fallen ill due to the heavy rain, the Explorers organization has urgently produced a batch of specific pills that can completely cure the illness. In 5 minutes, we will list them on the trading platform. Ji Qiang, the purpose this time is to save lives, so the price will be very low. Therefore, the pills will only be sold to survivors not on the dungeon list, and each person is limited to one. Quantity is limited, first come, first served. Zuzin, please note, after taking this pill, there will be a 2-hour period of weakness during which even walking will be difficult. Make sure to ensure your own safety during this period. The survivors on the dungeon list all have second-floor tree houses. By excluding them, the pills can only be purchased by those forced to endure the rain on the rooftops of the tree houses. The regional channel exploded instantly. Many who dared not sleep watched the regional channel intently, overwhelmed with joy, moved to tears. Oh my god. The big shots are stepping in. Congrats, UB group, you can survive now. Big shots are awesome. Thank you to the big shots. Thank you so much, sob sob. Can I really survive now? Can I really live on? Although I also don't have a second-floor treehouse, I'm strong and haven't gotten sick, so I'll pass on this opportunity. Upstairs, you're kidding, soaked for a day and night and didn't get sick? Zuzin noticed this person. He didn't choose anonymity, and his name is Naiufugi, which exudes a rustic feeling. If it were older generations, such names would be common, but these are all young adults aged 18 to 30, making the name a bit out of place. It's worth noting that now many rural areas are wealthier than cities, and cultural levels aren't lacking, so names like these aren't usually given. Just from the name, Zuzin felt he might be from some remote mountainous area isolated from the world. Zuzin memorized this name. If he really stayed in the rain for a whole day and night without issue, then he certainly would be a unique talent. Quickly, Chig's-Fi listed the medication, setting a very low price, only requiring 3 green-grade resources, preferably herbal resources, so more medicine could be made benefiting more people. Oh my, this price, it's basically giving it away. 3 green-grade resources? Is this a giveaway? My god, explorers are awesome. The big shots are awesome. And the lady providing the medicine, Chig's-Fi, awesome. Do the big shots need medicinal materials? I have some here, No use keeping them, I'll directly gift them to the big shots, just hoping they might help me when I'm in a crisis in the future. I have some too. I killed a centipede in the dungeon, it's said to be medicinal. Count me in. I have lots of dried snake gall. I killed a cow, has cow gallstone. The sick rushed to buy the pills. Now those speaking in the regional channel are mostly people with second-floor tree houses. Though they won't benefit from this transaction, they still want to contribute. Honestly, Zuzin was a bit moved. He didn't expect to see human warmth in this precarious world. While the medicinal materials in their hands are indeed useless to them, they might also be thinking of investing early since it could be their turn next. But none made cynical remarks nor questioned why it wasn't sold to them. Everyone genuinely supported the approach. This reminded Zuzin of the old world, of that nation in peaceful prosperity, where during catastrophic events people would donate their savings or queue for hours at blood banks during their precious spare time just to donate blood. In most cases where personal interests aren't involved, even during disasters, people's hearts still lean towards kindness. Suddenly, Cheegsvi sent a private message to Zuzin. They're all offering to send me medicinal materials. I'm busy trading and counting the materials they've traded over. Could you please collect the ones they're giving? Okay. Zuzin immediately sent out information in the regional channel, explaining the situation, and instantly, dozens of trading messages arrived, all gifting medicinal materials. Some even remained anonymous, truly doing good deeds without leaving a name. Just as Zuzin was collecting materials, suddenly there were discordant voices in the regional channel. Those pills were painstakingly collected and made with medicinal materials by Hanging Pot to Save the World. Explorers are a bunch of thieves, stealing our labor outcomes. Exactly, that's Hanging Pot to Save the World's developed outcome. You have no right to sell. I'm a member of Hanging Pot to Save the World. Explorers are shameless. They poached our members, stole our medicine, leaving us with nothing to sell in times of crisis, yet they appear as saviors. These medicines should have been sold by Hanging Pot to Save the World. You're thieves. Those posting these messages were all anonymous. Zuzin squinted his eyes. Chizixuan is quite clever, trying to play a public opinion game, letting people anonymously mix up black and white, claiming they intended to sell medicines to everyone but got intercepted by explorers. But it's merely clever. If Cheegsvi sold them at a high price, this might work somehow. But she's only selling for 3 green-grade resources. No matter the truth, people will support it. Honestly, even Zuzin feels the price is a bit ridiculous. She's truly trying to hang the pot to save the world. Chapter 135 Cheegsvi's choice. After these people meddled, a subtle change occurred in the public opinion within the regional channel. However, most of it still leaned towards Zuzin and their explorers. The big shots stole their achievements? How can I believe that? Do the big shots need to steal your achievements? The big shots directly plastered this ranking on our faces. That's better than stealing your achievements, right? You did it? Can you sell it at such a low price? No. Then get lost. Can things even be stolen? Isn't it all a mutual trade? Could it be that the big shots went to your treehouse and stole the stuff? That's so cool, I'd directly cling to the big shots' legs. Big shots, please don't steal my stuff, I'm scared. A group of people was being sarcastic on the regional channel, and at this time, the first survivors who used the medicine also stepped forward. Brothers, I'm better now, I really am. Although my body was extremely weak after taking it, my illness is really gone. I'm better too, praise the explorers. Praise the big shots. All I know is I exchanged 3 green tier resources for my life, stealing something so precious for 3 green tier resources? This is philanthropically ridiculous, what nonsense. At this moment, Cheegsvi spoke on the regional channel, and her words added fuel to the fire. Everyone, I am Cheegsvi, a member of Explorers, and also one of the founders of Rescuing the World. Originally, I established Rescuing the World to help you navigate this crisis-ridden world as much as possible, so at least you wouldn't worry about minor injuries or illnesses, or even lose your life. The hemostatic herbs you've purchased on the trade platform were mostly cultivated by me personally. But this time, Rescuing the World chose not to sell those medicines due to insufficient profit, leaving people to die, which completely goes against the principles with which I founded it. However, the leaders of Explorers, Zuzin and Jikang, were very supportive of me selling these medicines to everyone at low prices, and even proposed to buy these pills from me at a high price to distribute to everyone. Of course, I wouldn't do such a thing but instead chose to formally exit Rescuing the World. From today onwards, as a member of Explorers, I will sell hemostatic herbs and various medicines under the name of Explorers. What Rescuing the World used to sell, Explorers will also sell. Naturally, the prices won't be as low as they were today. These words left Zuzin stunned. Really? The core technical staff switched sides directly? Huh? Keek sat on Zuzan's shoulder, licking its paws after finishing an apple. It couldn't read the words on the small projection of the watch and could only tilt its head with Zuzan. What did Chi Zixuan and those from rescuing the world say or do to push Chi Zixi out of the organization? They weren't just caught off guard. According to Chi Zixi, cultivating hemostatic herbs and making medicine was her ability, so rescuing the world was centered around her. With her exit, rescuing the world would just be an ordinary chat group. Though not knowing why, everything that's developed favors explorers, which is beneficial for him, so naturally, Zuzan was very supportive, raising both hands in agreement. Everyone within the explorers group also voiced their opinions. Li Wenxi, sister is awesome. Support. Zhao Zixuan, rescuing the world is too narrow-minded, whereas our bosses have vision. Wang Lei, from now on, Xi is my goddess. Wen Gaixin, strong, Xi, I like it. Qin Yanlong, only by helping each other can we reach the end. With the support of the usual top leaders on the rankings, the public opinion in the regional channel completely leaned towards explorers. A large group of people furiously cursed, rescuing the world, especially those who were close to losing their lives, cursing all the 18 generations of those in rescuing the world, thoroughly. At the same time, explorers also received great acclaim. Not only did Chi Zixi become a saint-like figure, but her statement Zuzan and Ji Qiang proposed to buy these pills from me at a high price to distribute to everyone elevated both in the eyes of regional channel survivors. Whether genuinely or just to curry favor, at least they were strongly supportive. Naturally, some people were indifferent, feeling this was a thankless saintly act, but their voices were quickly drowned out, making no waves. In a 3-story treehouse, Chi Zixi stood by the window, somewhat lost in thought, gazing outside, unknown what she was thinking. The treehouse watch on her left wrist was vibrating constantly, but she ignored it, just blankly staring outside. Why did it end up like this? As a descendant of a traditional Chinese medicine family, she was influenced by her grandfather, an old Chinese medicine practitioner, from a young age. From childhood till older, the family frequently had patients healed by her grandfather coming to thank him personally. During festivals and New Year, countless individuals once treated by her grandfather would visit to pay their respects and bring gifts. Grandfather never accepted gifts from patients, but those already healed were not considered patients, and he would gladly accept their gratitude. Growing up in such an environment made her very much aspire to the profession of a doctor. Chapter 135 Chi Zixi's choice. So she studied hard and got into one of the top medical schools in the nation, simultaneously pursuing a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. After entering a national-level hospital for an internship and undergoing 8 years of training, she is now about to graduate and become the doctor she has always aspired to be. Moreover, she started from a high point, reaching heights that many people can't achieve in a lifetime, with a bright future ahead. But at that moment, she was inexplicably transported to this world. She wasn't really a very strong woman. When she first arrived in this world, she was almost completely at a loss. From a promising medical PhD to a survivor who might die at any moment, the disparity was enormous. She had no idea what to do, holding the unexpectedly appearing treehouse seed in her hand, wandering aimlessly through the jungle like a walking corpse. For some reason, as she walked, some plants in her vision began to emit a faint red glow, and a voice informed her that she had acquired an ability called Medical King. She could lock onto any medicinal herbs within her line of sight and discern their grade and effects, obtain plant-based medicinal seeds and quickly mature them, use any medicinal herbs to develop and create medicines, and resist all diseases. This suddenly acquired ability cheered her up. She believed it was heaven's favor, granting her this ability so she could continue to pursue her life goals in this world. Thus, she used her ability to collect food and herbs everywhere. Via creek rich in herbs, she discovered a blue-grade hemostatic herb, and after picking it, she planted the treehouse seed on this plot of land, establishing her first base. A 2-story small treehouse. After the regional channel opened, she was pleasantly surprised to find her younger brother, Chi Zixuan, had also arrived in this world. Having a family member suffer in this world wasn't a cause for joy, but she was still somewhat relieved, as she finally had company. Unlike Chi Zixi, Chi Zixuan, though born into a family of traditional Chinese medicine, wasn't interested in medicine. Their father was a successful entrepreneur, a chairman and CEO of a company, and the brother had always followed him to learn, considered by their father as his heir. Though differing in their philosophies, the two agreed harmoniously on establishing the Healing Ambassadors organization. Chi Zixuan organized manpower to seek out hemostatic herbs and other medicinal plants, while Chi Zixi used her ability to quickly cultivate them in large quantities. Her brother then handled promotion and sales to other survivors, exchanging for animal-based medicinal resources and other materials, achieving high profits while her sister developed and created new medicines. It was a positive cycle. By continuing this process, healing ambassadors could not only provide medicine for curing disease but also make a great profit, fulfilling the siblings' respective ideals. Initially, when Ji Qiang invited her to join the explorers, she was surprised. She had gotten a silver treasure chest mostly by chance rather than strength. The reason she obtained the silver treasure chest was simple. Her treehouse was right by the creek, and the silver treasure chest was right under the creek beneath the treehouse. When she used the compass in the treehouse and crossed the river following the direction, the monster guarding the silver treasure chest appeared. She hurriedly grabbed the tree roots and flew skyward, and a few seconds later, the monster shattered due to being in the treehouse's protection range, delivering the silver treasure chest into her hands. So when Ji Qiang initially invited her, she didn't agree or even respond, as she was the core of healing ambassadors. Finally, after consulting with Chi Zixuan, she decided to join the explorers while maintaining close ties with him. At first, she joined more for the advanced equipment and cutting-edge information, and using her abilities to heal more people was her philosophy, but survival was a prerequisite. Thus, she continuously gathered information, traded high-level equipment resources within the explorers, while constantly cultivating high-grade medicinal herbs and developing new medicines as the core of healing ambassadors. With high-level equipment resources and her immunity to injury and illness, her performance in activities had qualitatively improved, truly becoming a top-ranked expert. Having gone through so many activities, they all managed to get by. The high sales price for her cultivated hemostatic herbs made her feel it was inappropriate, but considering they saved lives, the expense seemed justifiable despite her dissatisfaction. Yet, she never spoke up. This time, however, their actions truly crossed Chig's bottom line. She never expected her brother, despite having her newly developed advanced medicines, would refuse to sell even the low-cost basic medicine for profits, showing such disregard for the lives of thousands. What she found most unacceptable was that healing ambassadors organized a vote behind her back, and it was unanimously decided not to sell the medicine, making her quite apprehensive. Do these people deserve the title of healing ambassadors? This vote's result was the last straw, adding to Zuzan and Ji Qiang's persuasion with their compassion, giving her a stark contrast internally, removing her inclination to remain with healing ambassadors. Thus she directly resigned from the organization that ran with her at the center. The watch had been vibrating for a long time, and Chig's sighed before connecting the voice call. Chig's, you can't leave. Without you, the organization can't operate. The voice on the other end sounded panicked, perhaps not expecting that his own sister would truly leave him. Hey, you've grown wings, daring to call your sister by name, Chig's sneered. If you want to make money, go ahead on your own. I won't accompany you. Don't forget, the advanced medicine you've just made is all in my hands now. Without this batch of medicine, how will you explain to the people in Explorers? The medicine is in your hands, but the recipe is in my mind. With enough herbs, I can make another batch anytime. Chig's voice was calm and steady. The other side was silent briefly, then his voice softened. Sis, come back, we'll base decisions on your opinions from now on. Without you, our organization is finished. His plea softened her heart momentarily. She opened her mouth, but thinking of the people in healing ambassadors, she immediately felt disgusted, her gaze icing over once more. My mind is made up, and consider those medicines my last offering to you. You'd best not sell them, keep them for yourself in the future. After this, she promptly hung up and blacklisted her own brother. After this, she sat dumbfounded in front of the chair, falling into the seat quietly. After all, that was her own brother, and she couldn't quite bear it. The medicine was handed to Chi Zixuan only after she resolved to leave, to ensure his temporary safety. She sighed, taking out her last remaining pill. Pill, blue, cures all diseases and treats every kind of difficult disorder. So long as it's not an irreversible terminal illness, all can be cured while enhancing the user's physique. A supreme medicine. Only one pill can be taken every 7 days. This was her current pinnacle work. She left only one pill for herself, giving all others to Chi Zixuan. As she was somewhat distracted, her watch vibrated with a private message from Zuzin. Sister Xi, welcome to truly becoming a member of Explorers. Seeing the message, Chig's slightly weary yet beautiful face finally showed a hint of a smile. Chapter 136, The Possibility of Immortality. Zuzin deliberated for a long time before sending a private message to Chig's. Sister Xi, welcome to truly becoming a member of the Explorers. Chig's had just left the organization she founded and even had a falling out with her own brother. At this time, she must be feeling quite melancholic, perhaps a bit absent-minded and insecure. Zuzin used a friendlier title to help her quickly feel a sense of belonging to the Explorers. Moreover, her actions indeed made Zhu Xin feel admiration. Unlike him and Ji Qiang, Qig's didn't know about any of the potential future events. Her goal was pure, to heal as many other survivors as possible. In all honesty, if he were in her position, he wouldn't be able to make such a selfless move. It was almost like giving away resources for free. To the survivors being healed, she was a saintly existence. Zhu Xin doesn't dislike saints, he dislikes those who lack the ability but still stand on moral high grounds to criticize others. A hypocritical saint. She helps others through her own abilities, and no one can criticize her for that. For someone like Qig's, who has a strong ability that others don't have, yet doesn't misuse it but instead helps those in need, he has absolute respect. Perhaps it's because he himself can't achieve this that he feels such people are incredibly noble. In this place lacking order and legal protection, for most people, their true selves may only become apparent after gaining strong abilities. At this moment, Explorers was bustling with excitement. Ji Qiang, our team finally has a real physician now. Li Wenxi, oh my god, Sister Xi, you're so awesome. Zhao Ziyuan, don't worry, beautiful Xi, following the top two brothers is definitely the right choice. Wen Gaixin, and me, I'm also the third in our area. From today, I've got Xi covered. Qin Yanu, if there's anything you need, just let me know. I'll do my best to help. Wang Lei, me too. Qig's, thank you all, rest assured, with me here, you no longer need to worry about sickness and injuries. With such a strong doctor officially joining the organization, anyone would be enthusiastic. Moreover, Qig's actions have truly earned everyone's respect. The members of Explorers are top survivors who have rarely faced life-threatening situations, and their resources are abundant, so there's no need for scheming or backstabbing. Naturally, the atmosphere is much more relaxed than over at Compassionate Healers. This is actually one of the reasons why Qig's chose this side. Zhu Xin received the last batch of herbs. Just moments ago, many people had donated herbs to him, and now, his backpack was full, with many having to be placed on the ground. He immediately initiated a trade with Qig's and transferred all the herbs to her. Qig's suddenly asked, do you all think what I'm doing is foolish, essentially giving the medicine away to them for free? It seems she had some self-doubt after breaking up with her own brother. Zhu Xin immediately replied, if you weren't of this nature, you might not possess such abilities. You've used your abilities to save the lives of nearly 1,000 people, who has the right to call you foolish? Qig's was silent for a moment and then replied, thank you, Zhu Xin. If it weren't for you, and the others, I fear I wouldn't have taken this step. If I had stayed with those people, I'm afraid I would have been assimilated by them. At the same time, Qig's initiated a trade with him. This is the improved pill. There's only one left now, but with the materials you gave me and what I have, I can soon make the next batch. Zhu Xin didn't ask her why there was only one left. Presumably, it was the cost of leaving Compassionate Healers, so he replied, alright, no rush, there hasn't been much need for pills lately. He looked at the small blue glowing pill in his hand. Compared to Qig's introduction, his was more detailed, with an additional line at the end. After using 100, the body becomes impervious to all diseases. This effect directly stuns Zhu Xin. Impervious to all diseases? Never get sick? But thinking carefully, the ultimate effect of this pill seems rather trivial. Within 7 days, only the first pill taken is effective. To truly achieve immunity to all diseases, at least 700 days are needed. He still wasn't sure if he could survive 700 days in this world, and if he could, surely there would be more advanced resources available. However, the effect of enhancing physical fitness was quite good. Speaking of enhancing physical fitness, he thought of the Tai fish in the treehouse. The purpose of the Tai fish also was to enhance physical fitness, but its effect focused on longevity, namely increasing lifespan. Wait a minute. Hiss. Zhu Xin took a sharp breath. The effect of the Tai fish combined with this pill, blue, wouldn't that mean immortality? No, immortality might be unlikely. The life-extending effect of the Tai fish probably isn't that strong. Maybe raising it for a lifetime would extend one's life by 4 or 5 years at best. But, these two resources are only blue-grade resources. Above the blue-grade is the purple grade, and who knows what levels are beyond purple. If blue-grade supplies can spark hopes of immortality, then the resources of higher grades. Zhu Xin suddenly had some doubts. Those things that brought them to this world, that mysterious voice, and the deities mentioned in the altar's introduction, could they really be some kind of ancient and immortal creatures? Starting to indulge in wild thoughts again, better deal with the matters at hand first. In front, Mimi and the Silver King swallowed the last bite into their stomachs, and a full 200 kilograms of fish meat disappeared without a trace, leaving Keek on Zhu Xin's shoulders staring in disbelief. After splitting the 200 kilograms of fish meat, the Silver King and Mimi showed no changes at all. Zhu Xin watched in amazement as the two beasts' bellies did not bulge even slightly. You two, where did all that food go? 200 kilograms of meat, just eaten like that? Zhu Xin reached out to touch the bellies of the Silver King and Mimi. Mimi was so startled by his action that she leapt 3 meters into the air, jumping away and arching her back upon landing, hissing at Zhu Xin, her tail all fluffed up. This guy, even though these past 2 days she's been getting closer, she still won't let him touch her. He touched the Silver King's belly. The Silver King's belly was somewhat soft, but Zhu Xin couldn't feel any of the food it had just eaten. Keek also curiously crawled under the Silver King, poking with little claws, only to get kicked away by the Silver King, which prompted a dissatisfied wee-wee cry. No, this wasn't how it was before. Previously, after feeding them, Zhu Xin could clearly see their bellies bulge, and he even wondered if he was overfeeding them. Wait, this had happened once before. After the Silver King had just become a mutant beast, it ate a whole deer, and its belly showed no change. Recalling how, earlier in the day, the Silver King's speed was much faster than usual, Zhu Xin's eyes lit up with increasing brightness. These two guys, could they be about to evolve into intermediate mutant beasts? Eat. You can eat all you want. You too, once we get back, I'll let you have your fill of frozen mutant beast meat from the freezer, and if you want, I'll give you intermediate mutant meat too. Zhu Xin vigorously patted the Silver King's head. If he could have 2 obedient intermediate mutant beasts, his power would be greatly enhanced. Contaminated meat wouldn't poison mutant beasts. Zhu Xin had experimented with the bat swarm in the underground tunnel. But he's not sure if intermediate mutant meat would still be effective for the Silver King and Mimi, considering that the mutant potion produced from it had already lost its effectiveness. Whoa! The Silver King howled, its 2 wolf fangs reflecting the sunlight as sharp as ever. Mounting the Silver King's back, Zhu Xin continued traversing the resource zone. Not far from the felled Isidwood, blue, tree, he found 5 Isidwood, green, trees. It seems that Isidwood capable of producing hardwood has begun to grow in the jungle. There should be some green-grade Isidwood in the jungle, but now with green-grade trees everywhere, the appearance of Isidwood is inconspicuous, making it hard to find. Besides, since he doesn't lack it, he doesn't bother looking further. He cut them all down and dug out the seeds. What piqued his interest was that both the green-grade and blue-grade Isidwood had this description: requires over 100 years to mature, and it was noted that they were artificially matured. He looked at the seed in his hand again. Strangely, even though he dug it out with a shovel, the Isidwood seed did not show any description, seeming to be just an ordinary seed. Is this redwood unplantable? To verify, Zhu Xin planted an Isidwood seed in the soil on the spot, waited for a long time, but no sapling emerged from the ground. If it were a birch or pine seed, it would have sprouted by now. He dug out the seed, which had not changed at all, as if it were just a very ordinary seed. It seems that for now, he can't plant Isidwood to obtain redwood. If it truly relies on this world's special abilities to grow, Zhu Xin might age long before it matures. However, since the seed was dug out with a shovel, it surely is a special seed. Perhaps it requires some specific conditions, so he'd better store these seeds for now. Next, he focused on finding blue-grade resources, and soon found a few blue-grade poplar trees, obtaining over 10 pieces of blue-grade wood. But that was about it. Roaming through the forest, Zhu Xin finally stopped by the lake, frowning. Something is not right. In the entire resource zone, the food resources he saw were only 1 apple tree and a red berry bush, both green-grade. Throughout the expansive green-grade soil, only 2 fruit-bearing plants had grown. Previously, taking just a couple of steps would find a green-grade fruit tree, and even blue-grade ones were more numerous than the green-grade ones now. Is the jungle starting to be short on food? Zhu Xin's eyelid twitched. Not only were the beasts gone, but the once abundant fruit resources had also almost disappeared. The sources of both meat and vegetarian diet were cut off. Could this mean that food shortages were about to begin? Chapter 137, Has the famine arrived? Zhu Xin immediately asked in the explorer group, did you find a lot of food when you went out exploring? Li Wenxi, I was about to ask, I've gotten tired of eating meat these past days, wanted some fruit, but couldn't find a single fruit tree after searching for a long time. I can't just eat blue-level fruit to satisfy my cravings. Chigzfi, I haven't gone out yet. Wanglei, I don't have any either. My food storage fridge got struck by lightning, and now there's no food outside. This is too tough. Jikang, at least for now, it's basically impossible for me to get food from the jungle, and I don't know how long this situation will last. Qin Yanlong, the fish in the lake have become very scarce. There used to be schools of fish, now there are only a few scattered ones. Wanglei, I'm so hungry. By the way, can ornamental fish be eaten? Zhao I still have some food, call me daddy, and I'll share some with you. Wang Lei, screw you. Zhu Xin was a bit amused, and directly traded him 10 kilograms of green-level carp meat, the same kind from the big carp he let go earlier. He also traded a few apples to Li Wenxi that he just picked. Wang Lei, whoa. Boss Zhu actually gave me 10 kilograms of fish meat. Thanks, boss. Love you, boss. Li Wenxi, it's apples. Love you, Zhu Xin. Wang Lei, shut up. Zhu Xin said irritatedly, then asked, I found this fish on the ground after the water receded, didn't you guys find any? Wang Lei, why am I the only one being told to shut up? Wen Gaixin, nope, I walked around outside but didn't see any food, though a tree called acidwood did appear, which can produce rosewood, but it's very rare. And the acidwood tree can only be chopped with an iron axe, a stone axe is ineffective. Only an iron axe can chop it? Zhu Xin indeed used an iron axe just now. The description of the iron axe mentioned it could chop some special kinds of trees, and acidwood should be one of those. No wonder its seeds are so special. If this situation continues, there might really be a famine. Fortunately, he doesn't lack food. His treehouse's top layer has a plantation, and the bottom layer has a slow-maturing ice cellar filled with mutant beast meat. Not only is he not lacking food, but he could feed the entire explorer. But others might be in trouble. Many inhabitants of treehouses lost a lot of their belongings due to the torrential rainy season, likely including stored food like Wang Lei. But even if not destroyed, the situation isn't good. Today is the third day after the dungeon, and the mutant beast meat they have is nearly spoiled. If they went out to hunt and gather the day before the storm, they could last until tomorrow. Otherwise, they might go hungry tonight. Unless they eat possibly spoiled meat and fruit, which could cause diarrhea and vomiting, and those consequences are far worse than an empty stomach. Eating rotten meat is just courting death. There is water available, and not eating can last a while. The key is how long this situation will persist. If prolonged, they might resort to eating bark and roots. Zhu Xin scanned the surroundings again. He had completely scoured the nearby blue-level resources and now directed his gaze towards the hills. Over there lies another resource zone, and surely there are new resources now, but he had two choices now: go back and continue carving, enhancing the decoration of his treehouse, or explore the hilly resource area again. That place is very unique, and just the beast statue altar alone is worth examining now. Zhu Xin looked complexly at the distant hills, equating those hills with the blood pattern giant that appeared last time. Zhu Xin checked the map and confirmed there were no red dots over there. Originally, the hilly resource zone had 3 tigers. One died from the polluted meat of a mutant wildcat Zhu Xin summoned, leaving 2 remaining. Now those 2 are nowhere to be found. Previously, he didn't thoroughly explore the hilly resource zone, worried about being targeted by the tigers and the wolves, which were trouble for him at the time.